Todd McShay. Iowa receiving some good news earlier today with the Wisconsin loss. Sets up for a big matchup in a couple of weeks against Northwestern. Penn State has lost back-to-back home games. Look to rectify that today. One of 3 top 20 showdowns across college football America on this Saturday. Penn State has won the toss, and they will receive. They were terrific in the return game a week ago at Indiana. Big return yardage, so they muffed some punts, and the kick in the air, and we are underway. It's K.J. Hamler. He will take a knee, and that will bring out Trace McSorley, the record-setting quarterback for Penn State. You could say that. In fact, you'd be better off, probably more time-consuming or less time-consuming to list all the records he doesn't have. He's been that good, the kind of leader. The kid has been a winner his entire career wherever he has been, and he looks to continue setting some records here today.
And the biggest difference with Trace McSorley this year is he's been doing it with his legs. Steve, he had 100 yards on the ground a week ago in a close win over Indiana.
He'll come out throwing. Incomplete to Pat Fryermuth, the tight end.
We talk about the difference with Trace McSorley. No Mike Gesicki. Obviously no Saquon Barkley. No Deshaun Hamilton. Right. Certainly more of the weight has been on his shoulders. It's been a concern for James Franklin. We'll see in this game how they use him.
Miles Sanders on the ground. Maybe get a yard on forward progress and puts him in a 3rd and long to open up the football game. Matt Nelson made the stop. That's the strength of this Iowa defense, that front 4 or front 8, if you will. They rotate fresh bodies up front.
No question. Iowa's defense has been the backbone of this team, and it's been the front 4. The leading rush defense in the Big Ten and leading scoring defense. It will not be easy for Trace McSorley today.
That's Miles Sanders in a slot, the running back. 3rd down and 9. First test for the Penn State offense. McSorley steps and fires. It was dropped. DeAndre Tompkins could not hang on, and it will bring up a 4th down. Drops have been an issue for the Nittany Lions.
Steve, 22 drops on the season for Penn State is way too many. This is DeAndre Tompkins, who's been one of the culprits. There's been a question of confidence with Trace McSorley and these new wide receiving options. I get it. There's going to be some weather. There's going to be some rain. The ball's going to be slick, but you got to secure the football.
And then you wonder if McSorley has lost some confidence in his go-to receivers. Set to punt, Blake Gillikin has been in a slump of his own, according to head coach James Franklin. Can't handle the snap. He got blocked into the end zone, and it will go out of the end zone. And that's how we start. Riley Moss able to come up with a block. The snap could not be handled, and it's a 2-point safety.
Wow. You got to handle the football. We just got done talking about DeAndre Tompkins with it. Now the punter, Gillikin, you just got to secure it before you run. I think that's Dominique Daphne, a backup corner, number 23, that comes through on the right side to get that block, Steve.
So Billiken, we mentioned, has been slumping, and that was in terms of his punting, his net average, not in terms of handling the snap. And that was, look, it has been a torrential downpour since late last night into early this morning and here in this afternoon, and it was an issue in warm-ups. We saw this coming.
Yeah, this is Trace McSorley just trying to get the snap from center in warm-ups. You have to focus on the football. You get a little bit of moisture. It's not a downpour, but it's just enough moisture on the field that ball is going to be slick, and you have to secure it. 2 times already in the first drive we've seen guys drop the football.
And that does not happen a lot. You open the first minute of scoring as a safety. Welcome to the football game. A not so happy start in Happy Valley today.
You certainly get the attention now. Everybody on both teams after watching something like that. All the coaches, I guarantee you, every assistant coach, special teams coach is on the sideline saying, look, have to secure the football first.
Wind was an issue for both of these schools a week ago. Penn State had all sorts of problems on trying to catch punts at Indiana, and Iowa had their own wind issues against Maryland. Smith Marsh set from the 30. able to get out. They push the pile all the way to the 44. Iowa will have excellent field position. Nate Stanley, many of you have been late to the party. Not Todd McShay.
I appreciate that, Steve. But Nate Stanley, I think, is one of the more underrated quarterbacks in all of college football. I've had him as one of the top 3 quarterback prospects for the 2019 draft since the start of the season. And listen, do I think he's ready to play in the NFL right now? No, he still has developing to do. This is just his 21st start, but he's a big, strong-arm quarterback who continues to develop in a pro-style system under Brian Ferentz.
First down and 10. Stanley to throw off the play fake. Good protection. And he'll just throw that one away. Todd, you know me. If you say he's third, you got to tell me who's first and second.
We've got a pretty good one in Ryan Finley, who's second right now, and then Justin Herbert.
Intentional grounding. Offense number 4. That penalty carries a loss of foul. Second down.
Loss of down. Larry Smith is our referee today.
It's the right call here, and Nate Stanley, a mistake here to start. He wanted to throw the slant. It's not there, but you can't just throw the ball where nobody is from the pocket. That's a very easy call for the official.
And a rocky, choppy start to this one for both squads. Second down and 14. Iowa will be in 2 tight ends all game, maybe more than any team in the country. 2 outstanding tight ends, T.J. Hawkinson and Noah Fant.
See more of this year from Nate Stanley. Changing plays at the line of scrimmage, pointing out the Mike linebacker for protections.
Stanley sends one across the middle. It is indeed T.J. Hawkinson remaining on his feet. The football comes out. It's still loose. And it's recovered by Nate Weeding at the 29 of Penn State.
T.J. Hawkinson has become a huge weapon for Nate Stanley. Running seam routes. See, he's fighting for extra yards. See if he went down. His knee was down here before the ball came out.
132-yard play.
Yes. Recovered by Weeding. Definitely a fumble.
Injured Nittany Lion. Jonathan Sutherland getting his first start. Sutherland is the injured player. I mentioned getting his first start. That's because Garrett Taylor will see him in the second half. He was called for targeting a week ago, so that forces Sutherland into play. And now, say hi to Aaron Monroe, the third stringer at safety.
And don't be surprised if Nate Stanley and Brian Ferentz, the offensive coordinator, get matched up with T.J. Hawkinson on the new safety on his first snap of the game.
The injury allowed them extra time to get the play in that they wanted to. We're only a minute and a half in. On the ground, Ivory Kelly Martin, with everyone expecting a pass. He's down to the 25, and Monroe, who just gets into the game, the redshirt junior from Largo, Maryland, makes the stop.
This Penn State team was certainly Nick Scott, the captain, safety. Number 4 is the bell cow in that secondary, but they're missing guys like Troy Apke, Malik Golden, Todd, now in the NFL.
Yeah, and I thought it was interesting when we talked to Brian Ferentz last year, actually. He said, you know what I learned from Bill Belichick? Whatever they expect you to do the exact opposite. And I think that was the case on that last play.
Or don't overthink yourself either.
Second down and 5. Send Smith-Marset in motion. And give him the football. On the jet sweep, making some people miss. He's taken down by a host of blue jerseys, led by Yetur Gross-Matos.
As we watch this game today, these tight ends for Iowa, I think they're the best hand in all of college football. T.J. Hawkinson and Noah Fant. A lot of people knew about Fant coming in. Great receiving tight end. Not a lot of people knew about number 38 for the Iowa Hawkeyes. He is a complete tight end. Can stretch the field, great hands in the receiving game, but also a very physical and nasty blocker at the point of attack.
3rd and 1, could use some blocking here. They got the fullback Austin Kelly in there. And it's Kelly. Martin doesn't get back to the line of scrimmage. There is a flag down. Robert Windsor was the first man in for Penn State. but the Nittany Lions hold at the line of scrimmage. Check the marker.
Personal foul, face mask, defense, number 54. 15-yard penalty, automatic, first down.
Windsor first man there, and the first man to grab a face mask.
Wow, what a big penalty for James Franklin and Penn State. You get the stop you needed on third down. You see 54 in the middle of the screen there. Hard to tell.
You do? Where do you see him?
There he is right here. He's going to reach out.
Through the raindrops.
There he is, yep.
Yep.
That's a good call by the official. Bad break for Penn State.
They've dropped the sticks. It's first and goal. From the 10. Kelly Martin will try it again, lower the shoulder, and crash down to the 5-yard line. Second and goal upcoming.
We're going to see 3 backs for Iowa today. Ivory Kelly Martin, you'll see Torrin Young, and then you'll see Mekhi Sargent, all 3 of them. You know, Akram Wadley was the bell cow a year ago, an outstanding football player, and it's been more of a running back by committee for Iowa this year. Not one of these guys has had over 100 yards in any one game, but it certainly has been effective for him.
Sutherland is back in the game for Penn State. Welcome news there. Second and goal from the 5. Again, it's Kelly Martin. Maybe a yard. Nick Scott, the captain of that Penn State defense, makes the stop. Third and goal.
Nick Scott, I'm right here in the end zone right behind him. He saw that crease open before the back came through, and he just went powering into the hole. What a really good play by Scott, the captain and really the leader of this defense this year.
Scott told us this past week the locker room was fun again after not having much fun the previous 2 weeks. Again, those consecutive losses to Ohio State and Michigan State. Third and goal, inside the 5. Gets pressure from the outside. Hit as he throws, and it falls incomplete. Fourth down.
Great pressure that time again from Windsor. It looked like there was an opportunity. Here's Windsor here. Looks like there's an opportunity to get the tight end for Nate Stanley if he had the time. But there you see, no time, nowhere for him to go. Great job by Windsor atoning for that 15-yard personal foul penalty.
Miguel Racinos is on. And now they shift out of what would have been a 22-yard field goal. Let's see what the wild and wacky Hawkeyes are going to do here.
Trying to call Racinos back in.
5 seconds to snap it.
It's not a big issue if there's a delay of game. You're not worried about yardage here.
They got it off. No, they didn't. It goes through. You could see the back judge.
Delay of game. Kicking team number 90. 5-yard penalty remains, fourth down.
Racinos was so worried about where his foot was lined up, you know, because he's not used to doing that, like a wide receiver, that he had his eyes down and he was just kept checking where he's going. When they yelled to bring it back in, he had no idea what was going on.
Hey, with all due respect, what a mess this game has been to start.
You should see it on the field.
I said with all due respect. Let's try it from 27. What do you say? Racinos boots it through. And it's a 5-0 Iowa lead. And that is an interesting score because you remember the game last year. It was 5-0 as well. Penn State late, and then Iowa wound up getting a touchdown and led at the half 7-5. So this is an important game.
Big.
Can't really tell by the sloppiness early here, but Iowa just got that welcome news about the Wisconsin loss. Possibly control their own destiny. Don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, but the playoff remains a possibility for
Well, yeah, playoff, but certainly you talk with Kirk Ferentz like we did yesterday. They're focused on today's game. This is going to be Big Ten football, okay? The weather's going to be bad. You're going to have to run the football, play great defense to win this game. But certainly now, with that Wisconsin loss, Iowa is in control of their own destiny because they play Northwestern in 2 weeks. But first things first, none of that matters if they don't get a win here today.
And I know Penn State feels the same way. Those 2 losses everyone keeps harping on, they're the same 2 losses they had a year ago. and still got to a New Year's Six bowl game. So that's the goal for the Nittany Lions here.
No question. I think there are bigger concerns with Penn State than there were a year ago, however, and it's been mostly on the offensive side. Nobody to step up and help Trace McSorley in the passing game. It's really been on him running the football along with Miles Sanders.
So a 5-0 start. KJ Hamler, and he had all sorts of problems handling punts a week ago, and that will go for a touchback. Here's Adnan Burke.
Hello, Steve Levy. Updating you on what's happening with Texas Tech and Iowa State over on ESPN2. Brock Purdy to Hakeem Butler. It's been a wild offensive game with all due respect, Steve. We need to see some video of your hockey from last night. Iowa State's up 40-31.
I went to 1 out of 2. 50% shooting percentage. First down and 10 for Penn State. Going to get a drive going. Maybe a first down. McSorley trying to throw for it. Has Hamler. And he does have first down yardage. There is a flag down.
Pass interference. Offense, number 87. Half the distance to the goal will remain first down.
That's Freiermuth, the true freshman tight end.
Well, and Steve, I'm standing here now just about 20, 25 yards away from McSorley, and he's my height. He's about 6 foot, 6'1", that range. He's going up against this defensive front of Iowa. It's like throwing over trees in a forest. 6'7", 6'8", 6'5", 6'3", 6'5". I mean, these guys, it's going to be a tough task today for a shorter quarterback to try to find these passing windows, Brian.
I used to hate that, man. I guess, see, first thing I do when I got a game plan is look how tall the defensive line was.
First and 22. Miles Sanders on the ground. Stopped by Anthony Nelson.
In fact, I think the tip ball should be outlawed in football. You know, you hate it because you had guys open, but these defensive linemen, and they know they're tall. So what do
Right.
when they don't get a great rush? They just stand there and read your eyes. So McSorley today needs to look defensive linemen off, believe it or not.
You see, they knocked down 6 passes against the Nittany Lions. You figure these are college kids. They're growing. They're getting even bigger. Here's McSorley. Has some time. Tries to zip one across to KJ Hamler. Could not hang on. Geno Stone with the heavy coverage for Iowa.
There's one receiver on this Penn State team that I truly think Trace McSorley trusts, and it's number 1, KJ Hamler. These other guys haven't proven enough to me to warrant my explicit trust. So I agree with McSorley trying to get the football to number 1 early.
Third down and 18. Tommy Stevens is in the game. The slot, top of your screen. McSorley's 0 for his first 3. In all sorts of trouble. They'll be dropped out of the 10-yard line. No pass to knock down there. Parker Hesse and Anthony Nelson.
You get in third and long situations, Steve, against this defense, and you're going to be in trouble. Here's Nelson. You're going to get a wraparound with Hesse. They've got all kinds of things and moves that they can do. Hesse has the speed to make that kind of a rush. Nelson, the power on the inside move. That is third down defense to a T.
See how Blake Gillikin deals with this punt from a very similar spot. The last time he couldn't handle a snap, went out of the back of the end zone for the safety. Snapped it to his right. Gillikin able to get rid of that one. And it'll be a short punt. And we'll see where they mark the football. Iowa's going to take over in plus territory. Just a 32-yard punt for Gillikin. Trace McSorley going down in a big way early. A game these two played last year under the lights at Kinnick with 37 seconds left in the first half. Stanley hit easily at a 7-5 lead. But in the fourth quarter, with time expiring, 4 seconds left, Jawan Johnson from McSorley from 7 yards out. How do you like me now? 21-19, Penn State in a thriller.
One of the best games of college football the entire year.
Saquon Barkley had a school record 358 all-purpose yards.
And yet still they needed that kill on the last play. That's how well Iowa played in that game.
Excellent field position for Iowa to start. Stanley trying to float one out there for Kelly Martin, incomplete. So we got to town a couple days ago, and you flip around the channels, and ESPNU is running a replay of that. I was glued to it, man. It was intense.
And, you know, we were talking with Brian Ferentz about that game yesterday. He said, listen, Penn State had a great plan against us. They confused us up front. They were moving and shifting, doing all kinds of stuff. Listen, we need to just come out, run our offense, run our plays, not worry about what they're going to do, and we'll be better off.
I was surprised by Ferentz admitting to that. I don't think a lot of coordinators say, hey, we were fooled. They confused us. Refreshingly honest. Good on him. Flag comes down.
Well, they didn't run the ball well enough. They only had 82 yards rushing in that game. If they're going to win today, it's got to be better.
Offside with contact. Defense number 54. 5-yard penalty remains second down.
Robert Windsor has been heavily involved in the good and the bad early on here for Penn State. His second penalty already.
I think it's worth noting that Jonathan Sutherland, the safety who went out on the last drive, is back in the game. I still think that Iowa should target him with their tight ends in the passing game.
Second down and 5. Number 37 of Penn State. On the ground, it's Kelly Martin goes flying. That ball came out short of the first down line. Who's going to come out of the pile with the ball? Penn State says they have it. Looked like Cam Brown knocked it free. Now we got a lot of people pointing in both directions. Iowa's got it. Man, third down.
You're right, Steve. Cam Brown came up from his linebacker position and put his shoulder right on the football.
I think Tristan Wirfs able to recover. Big 74 middle of your screen there.
Well, yeah, if you're in Iowa, you want the offensive lineman at the bottom of that pile because whoever's the strongest is going to come up with it, but it brings up a huge third and short here early.
And that's the first fumble by those running backs all season, even though it's recovered. It's third down and 1. On the ground. Torin Young has the first down yardage. Again, those three backs you talk about, they rotate, had not fumbled all season long.
I think you see early on Iowa having a tough time running the ball between the tackles. Nice adjustment there, the play call to get Torin Young to the outside with the lead blocker and the fullback who gets Sutherland on the ground.
That's Austin Kelly who said fullback football, that's Iowa. And he, of course, is playing in place of Brady Ross, the starting fullback, who's out with an ankle injury. Young remains in there to pick up a 9 with a great block by Austin Kelly. And it's first down and 10. Number 24, Penn State. Second man through. Young picks up a few. Cam Brown will make the stop along with Micah Parsons.
See pretty early in this ball game that Iowa's leaning heavily on the run. They've been getting better and better, throwing the ball more and more with Nate Stanley as they've got more confidence in him. But so far, 11 plays on offense, 8 of them on the ground.
Stanley only passed for 86 yards a week ago. Didn't need much more when they shut out Maryland 23-0. Second down and 7. Number 21. Stanley able to get rid of it. Off to Hawkinson, and he leaps a defender. And he's down at the 10. T.J. Hawkinson showing all the skills. Gain of 11 as he leaped over Nick Scott.
It's a big-time play from Nate Stanley, knowing he's going to have pressure from the outside. Sharif Miller in his face. But look at the athleticism of T.J. Hawkinson. This is one of the more underrated players in all of college football. Not a lot of people know about him. Just a sophomore, but one of the most athletic players on this Iowa team.
Mekhi Sargent has checked in now in the backfield. They fake it to him. Here's Stanley rolling to his right. And he's throwing that one away. Brandon Smith was in the neighborhood. Second and goal.
This is the area of the field where Iowa needs to continue to improve. Last time down, they get stopped, have to attempt a field goal. But scoring touchdowns in the red zone is the #1 key, in my opinion, to winning on the road in environments like this in the Big Ten.
A little light rain still continues to fall here. We expect it to stop in the second half. Second down and goal. 5 defensive backs in for Penn State. Stanley with some mustard on it. Maybe too much for Amir Smith-Marset. Tariq Castro-Fields on the coverage.
It's not just the Penn State receivers that are going to have a tough time catching the football today, but it's going to be everybody. That ball, as you mentioned, on a rope. It's a difficult catch in these conditions. What does Brent Pry, the defensive coordinator for Penn State, decide to do here? He brought pressure on the last third down in the red zone. This is a different situation, 3rd and goal from the 10. Expect him to play a little bit more defense.
Stanley barking it out. Has time and zips it in there. Jonathan Sutherland able to knock it away. 4th down.
Boy, great protection by the offensive line. A great pocket for Nate Stanley. Watch this protection here. If he had a little bit more time and waited a little bit longer, Levy, there was an opportunity that in the back of the end zone, receiver coming wide open easily. Penn State was fortunate he didn't see it.
Sullivan nearly picked that off, too.
Here we go again.
4th down and goal. That's Racinos, the kicker in the bottom of the screen. It's Rastetter, the punter, throwing it. It's caught. Sam Brinks able to come up with the grab. We saw trickeration a year ago at Kinnick in the game against Ohio State. How about Iowa today, getting wild and crazy?
Wow. Sam Brinks is a senior defensive tackle for the Iowa Hawkeyes.
Why wouldn't he be?
He walked onto the football team, one of the favorites on the team and in the defensive line room, and made an unbelievable over-the-shoulder catch for the touchdown.
Now this is fun. Racinos, the extra point.
A little shades of Hayden Fry coming out of Kirk Ferentz here with the trickeration. Watch this throw. I mean, first of all, Rastetter with the throw, and then over the shoulder. He looked like Willie Mays out there.
Hey, fantasy football people, somebody draft Sam Brinks for the score. In your face and in your living room as well. You might walk on to Iowa. Sam Brinks was a walk-on. Figure, hey, maybe you get a crack at catching a touchdown pass.
I'm sure he was a tight end in high school, right?
First he was a quarterback, so then he was a tight end. DJ Hamler to bring it out. He's knocked back into yesterday. Drilled down at the 11-yard line. Adnan Burke, take it away.
All right, Leafs, thank you. It is a championship drive update brought to you by Dr. Pepper, Florida and Georgia. Set up by fumble recovery, Jake Fromm and Jeremiah Holloman. Georgia already forced 2 turnovers after just one in the previous 3 games. 10-0 for the Dogs, Leafs.
All right, Adnan, thank you. So Iowa has a 12-0 lead. They have scored every way possible. A touchdown, an extra point, a safety, and a field goal. A well-balanced start. The 18th ranked Hawkeyes. See if Penn State can answer with Miles Sanders up the middle. First down yardage and then some. That's their first down of this early afternoon.
And an opportunity here for Penn State, this offensive line, Trace McSorley and Miles Sanders, to get back in this football game running it. This defensive line for Iowa, they will rotate, as you mentioned, 8 guys. The backups are in there right now.
Sanders with some good blocking up front there. He'll pick up about 4. Christian Welch made the stop. Sanders had his best game of the season a week ago. He rushed 15 times for 72 yards. Also caught 6 balls out of the backfield for 54 yards.
Looked like Christian Welch, the Mike linebacker, number 34, comes up a little gimpy. That's important because Jack Hockaday, who was the starter, is coming off of an injury. Now he's pushed into service.
2nd and 6. McSorley trying to set it up for Jahan Dotson. And we'll see where they spot him. He's right on that imaginary yellow line that only exists on your television set. They get first down yardage. Dotson caught his first catch of his college career a week ago. He's got another grab here today. Tommy Stevens checks in. Stevens threw a touchdown pass in his home state of Indiana a week ago. His first throw of the season. But it's McSorley who takes the snap, and it's a quarterback draw. And he'll just fall forward for 4. Amani Hooker came up from his nickel spot to make the play.
Trace McSorley ran the ball 19 times last week. That's more than Miles Sanders. Okay, he's the number 6 leading rusher in the Big Ten amongst all players, running backs included. This has become a big part of his game by necessity, not because he wants to.
And they are concerned about the hits he's taking. But it just hasn't been there in the passing game. So he's been using the legs. Here he's throwing and completing to DeAndre Tompkins for the first down.
It's a good sign for Penn State and DeAndre Tompkins. He dropped the first ball of this game. They need him to come on. They need Jawan Johnson. They need Brandon Polk. They need DeAndre Tompkins and Hamler to step up to make plays for Trace McSorley.
Well, those starters are back in on that Iowa defensive line. It's like a hockey shift change with the 4 players up front. Sanders for a few, and it brings up a second down. Hockaday able to make the stop there.
The other guy that we're talking with, James Franklin, for Penn State offensively, that's going to get more looks in this game is true freshman Jahan Dotson. We talked about it. There's been a lot of people in the Penn State community that want to see some of these younger true freshmen and redshirt freshman wide receivers play, and Dotson's going to get a lot of snaps in this one.
Here's McSorley that breaks down, and he is dropped down by Parker Hesse and Matt Nelson. Third down.
And a big part of it is the drops for these receivers, but also just getting open. Here's a look from the All-22. Take a look and see if someone gets open downfield. If you're Trace McSorley, where are you going to go with the football here? Nowhere to go. Here, here, here. You got to get open for your quarterback.
Creates some separation. James Franklin wasn't specific. He said some of the younger players have not stepped up to where they need them to be. Talking about his younger wide receivers. Looking for some playmakers besides K.J. Hamler. On the ground, it's Sanders. And it's going to be a 4th down and short. Just outside the 30. Jake Gervais made the tackle.
You might look at that situation and say, oh, 3rd and 8, 3rd and 7. Why are you running the football? But I don't think that James Franklin had any intention of not going for it on 4th down. So he's looking at it as 2 downs to get a first, and that's why he ran.
Penn State has gone for it 10 times on 4th down this season, converting just 4 of them.
Steve, no safety here. Iowa's coming after him.
See if somebody called a timeout.
Guard from the snap. Timeout. Iowa. There's a first charge. 30 seconds in length.
Well, that was
64 seconds left.
Yeah, good timeout by Iowa. Now Phil Parker, the defensive coordinator, saw exactly what they wanted to run right there. It was going to be a sprint out with McSorley. So now you don't anticipate they're going to call the same thing again. They got to come up with a different 4th down play.
That is the chess match.
They also were frustrated because they were trying to communicate to one of their defensive backs, and finally defensive coaches said, we got to get a timeout because we're not doing what we're supposed to be doing based on what they're showing us.
It's a little bit surprising to see the Penn State on a 4th down situation comes out with no K.J. Hamler on the field. Instead, they have the true freshman Dotson in the slot. But if I'm McSorley, this is the guy I'm going to keep my eye on as fire news.
Iowa, very good 4th down defense. Here's McSorley to throw. Able to complete. Needing somebody to make a catch, and it is Jahan Dotson making the grab.
Well, James Franklin said he's going to give Dotson more opportunities. Trace McSorley trusts this young player. That's not a great throw. If it's out in front, it might be a touchdown. Great job by Dotson making the play for his quarterback.
True freshman from Nazareth, Pennsylvania. Has 3 grabs on the season, 2 of them on this drive. McSorley flushed up the middle, gets out, lost one, back in the end zone, caught, touchdown! Pat Fryermuth, the tight end, and the Nittany Lions are on the board.
taste of Trace McSorley there, right? This team comes in, your house, you're up 12-0. It's been sloppy. There's been some drops, and he just takes over control of the game, and his confidence leads to the touchdown.
Blake Gillikin, the holder there, gets the snap down, and Jake Vinegar, the extra point. It's 12-7.
This has been the hallmark for Trace McSorley, extending plays, allowing his receivers to get open. You're going to see Freiermuth here. He's going to end up in the back of the end zone, but he's not open initially. McSorley has to extend that play to allow time. And now this decision here, you see two defenders, and this opportunity for him to throw the ball over those two guys to Freiermuth in the back end zone. A true freshman makes a play on 4th down, and a true freshman gets the touchdown time.
Yeah, McSorley's not asking for a lot. Just, work the scramble drill. Try to get back to me if protection breaks down. And when I put the ball in the spot, catch the ball. And that's what happened on that drive. 3 times he had receivers separate a little bit. One time he had the freshman Dotson make a really nice play, catch the ball on 4th down. And then scramble rules, Freiermuth does a great job continuing to work with them. And when located, a perfect throw. It's a really good drive for Penn State. They needed to answer there.
Todd, I think this is emblematic of where Penn State is right now, right? You were throwing to guys like Gesicki, seniors like Deshaun Hamilton, and now on this drive, 2 big plays to true freshmen.
Chris, you mentioned the trust that he has in Hamler. I think he's in the process of developing that trust in Freiermuth, the true freshman tight end. Final half minute. Smith-Marset will take a knee. Here's Andan.
All right, Leafs, thank you. Today's Moment of Relief brought to you by Vicks Vapo Cool. K-State and Oklahoma. Kyler Murray to C.D. Lamb. Murray, the first quarterback this year with multiple 80-yard touchdown passes. The Steelers having some fun right now, 17-0 through 1-quarter play. Leafs?
All right, Adnan, thank you. Iowa will take over now out of the 25. Iowa started with excellent field position. They started their own 44 and the Penn State 42. That's been a big part of that, having the lead. They stalled out the last time, had to settle. On the ground, Kelly Martin working back to the line of scrimmage. Ellis Brooks made sure of that. 18 seconds left in the quarter. Seemed like Penn State needed some time to catch their breath a little bit, get their feet underneath them and settle. And this game all of a sudden is taking on a new complexion. Quarter number 1 complete in Happy Valley. In a top 20 showdown today, 18th ranked Iowa leading 17th ranked Penn State. Second quarter is on the way. You're watching the Big Ten on ESPN, presented by PlayStation. Amani Uwarie led the Penn State Nittany Lions out today on this Military Appreciation Day as they celebrate 100 years of service women in the armed forces. And then Uwarie able to present the flag to his mom, who was active Navy and is currently in the reserves. So a proud moment for mom and her son. Penn State still trails 12-7 as we open up quarter number 2. Steve Levy, Brian Greasy, and Todd McShay. Nate Stanley in trouble, and he'll just get it away. John Reed was chasing down Stanley.
There's no foul. The quarterback was outside the pocket. 3rd down.
I really like this approach from Brent Pry. Your offense goes right down the field. You score a touchdown. You're back in the football game. You know, if you're Penn State, that Nate Stanley is not going to beat you running outside the pocket. He's pretty stationary. Now, he's hard to get down, but I like bringing pressure on him, forcing him to move off platform. That's what Brent Pry told us, and almost got the pass intercepted.
James Franklin was wondering, and John Reed got a piece of that football. Stanley just 2 of 8 for 43 yards. 3rd and 11. The 24. Good clean pocket. Now it breaks down. Stanley airs it out and overthrows his intended target, Brandon Smith. Castro Fields running with him stride for stride. This 4th down.
Well, you say what you want about Penn State Offensively, they have been up and down, herky-jerky. You look at James Franklin running downfield with Castro Fields there. This defense has been steady Eddie in the last couple of games.
Colton Rastetter is on the punt. Last time we saw him, he threw a touchdown pass. KJ Hamler is back deep. Hamler and Penn State muffed 4 different punts a week ago and recovered them all. Hamler's got that one. Can't do anything with it. Tonight, over on ABC, 6th-ranked Texas heads to Stillwater to take on Oklahoma State. You can stream that game and every game on the ESPN app. So start your free trial of ESPN Plus today. Longhorns will start the game without their top 2 quarterbacks and a top receiver. Tom Herman is sitting those starters. They were late for a team meeting this week. So we'll see what kind of impact that will have on tonight's game.
Tough place to play. Tough place to play, and certainly hasn't gone the way that Oklahoma State and Mike Gundy would have liked in this season, but I'm sure they'll be up for that game.
Remarkable turnaround by Texas. A lot of people think they're still a year away. This might be a pleasant surprise where they are right now.
No question. The win over Oklahoma was legit.
McSorley rolling and throwing at the feet of Miles Sanders. Again, it's taken a while for Penn State to sort of get their feet underneath them a little bit. You see their first 3 drives, a couple of 3-and-outs, and then finally McSorley able to settle his guys down for the 85-yard touchdown drive.
Well, they found something in that last drive, though. John Dotson made some big plays. Freiermuth made some plays. Wouldn't be surprised they keep going those directions.
Here's Sanders again. And they'll look to push the pile out to the 30-yard line.
That being said,
yes,
in last year's game, this Iowa defense, when Penn State had all those players, Gesicki, Deshaun Hamilton, and Saquon Barkley, at the end of the game, Penn State only had 15 points. They had to score the last play to win, so this Iowa defense is not going to be easy to score on.
3rd down and 7. Here's McSorley, going to be taken down at the 25. Dropped by Anthony Nelson. And McSorley is down and hurt. And the stadium goes quiet.
When Michael Ojemudia came on a blitz from the weak side, and there was nowhere for Trace McSorley to go. He got caught in the pocket. He couldn't escape. There was good contain. There comes Ojemudia, and Trace saw him. He knew it, but he didn't have anywhere to go. And then he gets caught up in the wash here, and it looked like Nelson, number 98, came down on that knee.
This was definitely a concern with McSorley running the football too much. That is not the case on this play. Polite applause for Trace McSorley as he was walking off the field. And then the stadium grease got real silent again.
Yeah, certainly did. This is one of the all-time competitors. Here's what happened. You had a Mike linebacker walked up on the center, and that requires the guard in the center to take those 2 guys, Steve. But then he pops out, and now you got a blitzer on the weak side, and these 2 guys in the middle, the guard and the center, have to take one, and Steven Gonzalez, the left guard, doesn't come off. They got fooled, and that's what led up to the injury.
Oh, that snap is over the head of Gillikin again and out of the end zone for another safety. The first time Gillikin couldn't handle the snap might have been a wet football. The snapper is Kyle Vasey.
Wow.
And you don't see that too often. 2 safeties on the same team in the one half.
And that's not a wet football. That is a brand new football that comes from the sideline after a timeout. So you can't blame this on the wet ball. This is just Vasey airmailing Gillikin, and back-to-back blunders for Penn State.
Trace McSorley goes down to injury, and then Vasey airmails one past Gillikin out of the back of the end zone.
Well, you talk about, the differences in Penn State from a year ago to this year, and It's the leadership. It's the senior leadership. They had a number of guys they could look to on the sideline that could bring a team through tough times like this. And now the one guy that is the leader of this team, unquestionably, number 9, is out of this football game potentially.
It's Rafael Checa who will kick it away. Smith Marset out past the 35, out past the 40 to the 43. And Dan Verk, take it away.
All right, Leaves, thank you. Updating you right now what's happening with Florida and Georgia. Top 10 clash. It's Felipe Franks, a 1-yard touchdown. So the Gators back in business, still down 10-7 early in the second. Steve?
All right, Dan, thank you. I mean, you know, around the country, the score is going to flash. Hey, Iowa's up 14-7, like a standard 14-7.
2 touchdowns, yeah.
Sure. The only point scored by the offense is a field goal in this game. For Iowa, Torn Young on the ground for a few. Ellis Brooks makes the stop.
Well, you've had all kinds of momentum swings in this first half. Penn State comes out down 12-0. Then they get the drive on offense. They get a couple of true freshmen involved, and they cut it to a 5-point lead. Now your quarterback's out. You have a safety. Who are you going to look to now? Well, the only other captain that plays on the offense or defensive side is Nick Scott, who's on the field now. He's got to get his defense fired up.
Second down and 5. Approaching midfield. Stanley able to get out of that pocket to Nick Easley. Very short of the marker. Nick Scott did make the stop. Easley is the senior from Newton, Iowa. And it's a 3rd down and 1. And Tommy Stevens continues to get loose on the Penn State sideline.
Yep. But who knows what's going on inside the medical tent with Trace McSorley, but certainly Tommy Stevens got to be ready to come into this football game. Threw his first touchdown of the season last week.
Behind Kelly, the fullback. Stanley still got it. Gonna throw, had a man wide open. It was Hawkinson. And Stanley knows he missed one.
I can't tell you what it takes to make a fake like this. Watch Stanley. He's holding the ball. He's not looking behind him. That's like the bullfighter waiting for the bull to come out of the ring, okay? And sometimes you turn around, a guy's so wide open, you try to throw a perfect pass, and you overthrow him. You got to take a little air out of that and just put it on him.
There were no defenders within 20 yards of T.J. Hawkinson. Come on back to 4th and 1. Wow.
ESPN College Football, brought to you by Chevy. Chevy has earned J.D. Power Dependability Awards for cars, trucks, and SUVs.
It's a 4th and 1 for Iowa. These fans, well, they don't look concerned right now. There is concern. They're in Happy Valley. For Trace McSorley, no one will ever question this guy's toughness. Nope. You see him on the sideline. Todd, what's the sense from down there?
Well, they won't tell me anything official, but Trace came out of the tent. He has a big brace on his right knee. He's trying to loosen it up. He right away got on the bike, threw on his headsets and started talking to his coordinator, and then got off the bike and started to run a little bit. He was wincing as he was running. He was trying to make some lateral cuts. To be honest with you, he doesn't look that good, but now he's shaking hands with friends in the stands, and you know McSorley. My guess is he's going to try to give it a go.
Grease, how about the play call here? Is this impacted by the question of McSorley's return?
I don't think so. I mean, you got one of a couple of options here. If you're Iowa, run the football to get the first down. You could pop back and pooch punt with Nate Stanley. You got a lot of different options.
Let's watch.
Just trying to get him jumped off, which they did. And Sharif Miller, wow, Sharif Miller is a senior on this team, and you got to know in that situation.
Offside with contact, defense number 48. 5-yard penalty results in a first down.
Good job by Stanley.
Boy. You know, Stanley's got a pretty good hard count. It's a forgotten art in college football because very few quarterbacks are under center. We actually asked him to do his hard count in the production meeting a year ago, and he kind of looked at me, you really want me to do it? I was like, yeah, and he did it. It's pretty good.
We should have had a camera and a microphone there. Here's Stanley to throw. Is that a catch by Easley? He took that off the turf? No, they're going to say that hit the ground first. Grease, is there any way to tell if they were ever going to snap that ball or they would have called timeout if not for the jumping offside?
The reason that offenses do it in that kind of window from the 40 to the 50 is because if you get the delay of game, it actually helps your punt for the punt. Yeah, so I don't think they had any intention of snapping.
And there you have it. And she buys McSorley some more time to keep trying to get loose. Iowa 14-7. They benefited from 2 safeties. Why not? And looking for more. Alaric Jackson. See if he moved.
False start. Offense, number 77. 5-yard penalty, remains second down.
Sophomore from Detroit.
Yeah, it looked like Nate Stanley was going to change the play at the line of scrimmage, which is a little bit new for Iowa. They didn't do a ton of it last year under Brian Ferentz, but they're doing more and more because he trusts Nate Stanley. But when you change a play at the line of scrimmage, you can't do it in a herky-jerky fashion because your offensive line might jump.
Third penalty against Iowa. They were not flagged a single time a week ago. First time since 2006 that happened. Here's Stanley in trouble trying to get out of there, and he can't. Drop back at the 45 by Robert Windsor. Kevin Stevens was there as well. Kevin Gibbons, I beg your pardon. Second sack.
Kevin Gibbons over the center is becoming a matchup problem for Iowa. He's right here. It's just quickness. He gets rid of the right guard Ferguson, and there's nowhere for Nate Stanley to go with that football.
Had some hockey on the brain of Kevin Stevens, who went to the Penn State-Princeton hockey game here last night. Beautiful Pagula Ice Arena. Here's 3rd and 20. On the ground, it's Sargent. On 3rd and 20, they run and maybe get a couple. Micah Parsons came up. They love the true freshman from Harrisburg. Think he's going to be a future star linebacker at Penn State, where they've made many of those.
Give credit to that defense for Penn State. They came out in a sudden change situation. Then Sharif Miller jumps off sides, gives them another first down, and they still stiffen up and get the punt from Iowa. Give that credit to those defensive players and Nick Scott.
DeAndre Tompkins is back deep. Rastetter off the end of his foot gets a great bounce. Terrific Iowa bounce inside the Penn State 19-yard line. See who the quarterback is going to be.
Well, I could see Trace McSorley coming back into this football game if he wasn't a mobile quarterback like he is. His game is movement. If he were like Nate Stanley and was a pocket guy, I could see him coming back in. But I think this is the right call, leaving him on the sideline and seeing what Tommy Stevens has got.
Tommy Stevens checks in. He has thrown 1 pass all season, and that was a touchdown pass last week in Bloomington. Enters the game with 10.5 to play in the first half, trailing 14-7 from his own 15. And Stevens will run on the quarterback draw and pick up 4 on the play.
Again, if you're just joining us, this was on the last series with Trace McSorley trying to avoid the rush, and Anthony Nelson came down on that right knee. Looked like it just got caught. They probably did the assessment in the tent. He wouldn't be out here trying to go if it was an ACL, so that's good news for Trace McSorley. Probably an MCL, but we're going to see Tommy Stevens.
Stevens going to keep it after faking it, and it's A.J. Epinesa who comes up to make the stop.
So this is going to change what Iowa is probably going to do defensively. Tommy Stevens is a more physical downhill runner. Unlike Trace McSorley, I think Iowa knows where he's going to be most of the time, and they're going to force his hand.
3rd down and 9. As McSorley tries to stay loose. Temperatures will creep into the high 30s as we progress. Looks like the rain has stopped. 3rd down and 9. Soggy field conditions for sure. Stevens try to run for it, and somehow he slipped through for the first down. Tommy Stevens knifes through a couple of Iowa defenders for the marker.
One thing you have to get ready for Tommy Stevens is a more physical runner. It's 240 pounds, 6'5". You're not going to get him down with arm tackles. And Tommy Stevens, Steve, has waited 4 years for this opportunity. He came in. There was a tight battle between he and Trace McSorley 3 years ago. He lost that battle. Nobody back then knew how good that McSorley was going to be, but this is his chance.
Here he is, a throw, and throw deep for Brandon Polk. Trying to turn his body around, and Polk could not make the spectacular catch with Riley Moss on the coverage.
This ball is a little bit underthrown, but still could have been caught by Brandon Polk. Gets away with a little bit of a push-off, but that ball clearly could have been caught by Polk. But that's been the Achilles heel for number 10 for Penn State all season long, has been the drops. He had 2 a week ago. One would have been a touchdown pass.
And Iowa, for the 4th straight game, starting 2, not 1, 2 true freshman corners in Riley Moss and Julius Brents. On the ground of Miles Sanders. And pick up a 3rd down. Dangerous part of the field at their own 29. Here comes the blitz up the middle. It's picked up nicely. And Stevens' pass is too low for Juwan Johnson. And I bring up a 4th down.
And Phil Parker, the defensive coordinator for Iowa, he's got a lot of trust in these 2 young corners. You mentioned both of them true freshmen in Brents and Moss, but he got a lot of faith in them. And I think you're going to see him be more aggressive in this second half with McSorley on the sideline. Doesn't have to worry about him running as much. And they're going to try to come after Tommy Stevens.
Hey, let's watch this snap from Kyle Vasey. And the catch on the punt from Blake Gillikin. Both have been problems. Both leading to safeties for Iowa. No problem with the snap. Some contact as Gillikin went down and stopped down at the 30-yard line. Kyle Gronenweg on the receiving end of that 41-yard punt. 14-7 Iowa. No longer asking questions, we're making a statement. Check out today's Aflac game fact. Kirk Ferentz, 1 win away from joining a very exclusive Big Ten club. At least 150 wins. Look at these names. There's Woody, Amos, Bo, Joe, and Kirk Ferentz.
He's one of the best of all time. There's no question about it.
Looking for his 150th win at Iowa today. A special guy in his 20th season as head coach. Here's Torin Young leading across for a yard. Back to Adnan Burke.
All right, thank you very much, Steve. Updating you right now what's happening with South Florida and Houston tied at 14. That's De'Aaron King going deep to Stevenson, who hauls it in. 21-14 right now. It's on ABC or ESPN. Steve?
Thank you, Adnan. Kirk Ferentz, the longest tenured active coach in all of college football. Iowa's had 2 coaches since 1979. You kidding me?
85, 20 years, and now 20 years for Coach Ferentz.
Here's Stanley to throw on 2nd and 9. Throw into an area. It's occupied by Penn State's John Reed. Reed cutting across the field. And he won't get to the end zone. Blasted out of bounds by Tristan Wirfs. They'll mark him just shy out at the 3-yard line. Another spark for this Penn State defense. It's John Reed.
Nate Stanley has grown in so many different areas, but one of the areas that he needs to continue to grow is seeing the football field here. He's just trying to force this football in here to the flat, but look at Reed. He's got his eyes on the quarterback, knowing that he's got an opportunity to fall off on the corner route. That was excellent defense by John Reed, who needed to make a play for his team.
I was just going to ask you, how well is Iowa's offense actually playing today? They really have only scored a field goal from the offense. And they've got the 14 points on the board. Tommy Stevens back in there. Opportunity for Penn State to at least tie the game. On first down and goal, it's Stevens. Gonna keep it. Gonna get there. Touchdown, Tommy Stevens. Extra point away from a tie score. And you wonder what's going through Trace McSorley's mind right now. See him push him away. Well, I mean, a handshake first.
I don't think that they had a plan for one of their choreographed celebrations that which McSorley is known for. So let me just give you a straight handshake. But this is where Tommy Stevens really excels. Running the football, powerful downhill runs inside the 5-yard line. They're looking to see if his knee was down before the ball crossed the plane.
Jack Hockaday got enough of him.
Yeah, that right knee definitely went down. So let's see where the football is when it goes down from our pylon cam.
That's really close where the ball is when his knee touches.
I think that's a touchdown. Knee goes down there, and you can see his helmet and arms are across the goal line there. I think that was a good call, and based on the call on the field, I think this will stand.
We asked Ricky Rodney, the offensive coordinator, about the touchdown pass last week. You know, you wonder how emotional these coaches get in his hometown of Indiana.
After review, the one on the field stands. Touchdown.
It is a touchdown. Rodney said it was coincidence Stevens got to throw the touchdown pass at Indiana last week in his native state. 2 years ago at Purdue, he had a chance to run in for a score, and as it was described to us, he fell flat on his face. About the 35 with no one near him. So there he gets the rushing touchdown here in his new home. Pinniger.
I know you were asking Ricky Rodney about all that, and you wanted to go back and get the footage of Tommy Stevens falling down. And I said, no, you can't do that. Don't make fun of a guy like that.
It's already out there, Grease. People have seen it, and I was only going to show it then after a successful touchdown. So what is going through the mind of Trace McSorley right now? This is human nature. You're rooting for your teammate. Hey, they got a great quarterback room. I get that. But that's his spot, and he sees himself diving into the end zone for the key score.
If you have questions about Trace McSorley and what he's thinking on the sideline, you don't know Trace McSorley. I mean, that's the end of the day. This is one of the biggest competitors, one of the best team-first guys that we have in college football. He is nothing but happy for his teammate, but more importantly, happy that the game is now tied.
Right, but he wants back out there. He wants to be in that spot.
I think that's the doctor's decision, right? If he wouldn't be going back out, he already would have been back out there. So there's a difference between being hurt and being injured, right? If you're hurt, you're getting a bruise or whatnot, you can go back out there. But if you're injured, then the doctor's going to keep you out.
You said a lot of things. You've been through it. You've lived it. The player knows a lot of the time. You know what that is, that feeling. Your players know all the time. I knew I was done. Yeah. I heard the pop or whatever that might be. We'll be interested to see coming out of halftime how different things might be. Here's Smith-Marset from the 5. Iowa all of a sudden find themselves in a tie football game. Smith-Marset down the sideline, and he'll be knocked out by the kicker, Rafael Cheka. Here's Adnan Verk.
All right, Steve Levy. An update right now what's happening in Kentucky and Missouri on 2nd and goal. It's Daria Crockett punching it in. So Missouri's got the 7-3 lead against the number 12 team in the country. That's on SEC Network. In Arizona State and USC, Eno Benjamin, 5th 100-yard rushing game of the season. This is a 49-yard scamper for the touchdown, 24/7. It's on ABC or ESPN2. Leaves?
There's some rather interesting games next week around college football. Next week shapes up to be a dandy. It's a 49-yard return. And Iowa, they've had great starting field position really all first half long. Here's Sargent able to break free, and he has first down yardage. Penn State able to bring him down.
Great field position for Iowa, but can they capitalize? You said it. Both teams, both offenses have had trouble in this football game. We've got 28 points that have been scored in the game, but neither team offensively has 100 yards of offense. It's been blocked kicks, it's been turnovers, it's been safeties, all kinds of different ways that these two teams have scored, but it hasn't been on offense.
Special teams responsible for 11 points today in those two safeties, and yet it's 14 all. Looks like another Big Ten ho-hum game, but you know better if you've been with us. On first down and 10, it's Sargent. Parsons brings him down. The clock winds. Under 6 minutes to play here in the half.
You know, one of the things that's different about this Iowa offense is the personnel group. You see Penn State, this is the defensive side. They're signaling in the personnel group, right? That's 12 personnel that just come into the game. That's one back and two tight ends. But see, they huddle, and so it's very difficult for the defense for Penn State to identify what formation and call their defenses because of that huddle.
Sargent again. He'll be stopped for a loss. Gross Matos.
And the thing about it, Ryan, is, you know, with 12 personnel, it's not just ordinary 12 personnel. You've got two unbelievably talented tight ends in Noah Fant and TJ Hawkinson. And Hawkinson especially gives Brian Ferentz some flexibility because he can play in line as a blocker, and he's a darn good blocker. But then you can flex him out and use him as a receiver and create mismatches.
Right, which changes your call as a defense, right, Todd?
Exactly.
See all this communication going on out here because they just came out in this different set. There's two tight ends lined up here. They're not attached to the formation.
Stanley throwing. Excellent defensive play. Oruwariye able to come up. Great speed in pursuit of that football to knock it away. Fourth down.
Great job of communicating in that bunch set. Who's going to take who? You see him pass it off, and Oruwariye breaks on Smith-Marset to prevent the first down throw.
Brent Pry told us he couldn't change his whole defense for that two tight end set that Iowa loves to run. 6 days, you can't change everything you've done already. It's a 49-yard field goal attempt now for Racinos on the way. Rastetter said it was good all along, and it was. 4.5 to go in the first half. On a special day for Oruwariye and his mom and all service members. This season, for every field goal and extra point made by participating universities, Allstate will make a contribution to the university's General Scholarship Fund. Thank you, Allstate. (17-14) Iowa on the strength of a Miguel Racinos 49-yard field goal. What a boot that was in these conditions. KJ Hamler is back in his own end zone. 4.5 to play. We'll see who's coming out at quarterback for the Nittany Lions. And Hamler will just take a knee.
Well, during the break, we saw Trace McSorley and Tommy Stevens playing catch. At one point, McSorley walked over to James Franklin, his head coach, and said, "Coach, I'm ready to go." And then James Franklin had to walk over to Tommy Stevens and say, "Tommy, sorry, thanks for what you did, but McSorley's coming back in." He tapped him on the rear, and you could see the frustration and disappointment from Tommy Stevens at that point. But clearly, McSorley told his coach, "I'm ready to go," and he's back in now.
First down and 10. Interesting development here. McSorley comes out throwing and completing to DeAndre Tompkins. We talked to Ricky Ronnie, Grease, and he was talking about how Tommy Stevens is like the best team guy he's ever been around and how great that quarterback room is.
Listen, if Trace McSorley comes up to you on the sideline and says he wants to play, he's going to play. He's earned that right. That's the bottom line.
It's his job. McSorley, try the other side. On for size. Mac Hippenhammer targeted for the first time.
Now the question is, as a coach on the sideline, I'm going to watch Trace McSorley intently. If there's a difference in Trace McSorley now, that he's on the field, I am not going to put him in harm's way. If he cannot defend himself, then at that point, I got it. You're a senior. You're a captain. But I'm protecting you, and I'm going to take you off the field. But you got to prove to me on this drive that you can stay safe.
His mobility is so much a part of his game, more so this season than ever. 1 of 6 third down conversions so far. Make it 1 of 7. Misfires on Miles Sanders' time.
Well, you just alluded to it, Steve, that the mobility is such a big part of his game, and especially this year when the wide receivers, a bunch of young receivers, struggling to get open, a lot of drops on the year. The percentage is extraordinarily high in terms of targeting and drops. So if he is limited to the pocket, I think in addition to trying to protect him, you've got to make a decision if you're James Franklin, which quarterback am I better off with in the second half?
Well, Todd, and it also takes away your run game, right? Because he's been your best runner all season.
4th 3 and out in his first half. The snap was perfect. The punt is fine by Billiken. It has been an issue. It'll be down at the 35. Here's Adnan Verk.
All right, Steve, thank you. Coming up on the Lexus halftime report, SEC playoff elimination game between Florida and Georgia. Also, the Noles make history in an upset Evanston as Wisconsin goes down. Join me, Jesse, and Joey for a halftime report. Steve, back to you.
Adnan, thank you. We'll look forward to seeing it at halftime. I said the punt was fine. It really was. It was poor. It's 33 yards on the punt. And so Gillikin's slump continues. You saw him on the sideline talking to the special teams coach and sort of shaking his head. From the 35. For Iowa, 3:49 left in the half. They have just 1 timeout left. On the ground, a Sargent. He's spun around for a gain of 1 on the play.
And right now, for Penn State, you just want to get in at halftime without giving up any more points. This defense has been up to the task all first half. They have limited Iowa's and their ability in their tight ends, which has been their most dangerous combination. But Brent Pry has come in confident after last year's game where he confused and really stymied Iowa offensively, and they've continued here in the first half.
Sargent again trying to turn the corner, and he is slammed into by Cam Brown. The ball popped free. It was out of bounds. Last week, Brown made his 100th career tackle at Indiana.
He's become a big-time hitter. That's the second ball that he has forced fumble. And don't forget, after halftime, they're going to get back their safety, Garrett Taylor, who was out in the first half because of a targeting hit last week. So they're going to get even more talent defensively in the second half.
This feels like a big play of the game. Two to snap it. 1. So you get the timeout in time.
Timeout, Iowa. That's the third and final. Will be 30 seconds in length.
Last time out of the half for Iowa. Time for our Wendy's fresh look at the Big Ten West standings.
Yeah, a little more clarity after Northwestern beats Wisconsin. Northwestern now in control of their own destiny in the Big Ten West. And if Iowa is able to get past this game, they will be as well. Those two would meet in a couple of weeks. But with all these teams, Steve, there's only one that still has any hope of the college football playoff.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, it's Iowa.
So people are, wait, Northwestern is 2 games in front of them in the standings, Grease.
Sorry.
And they
you see that on the right side.
And they get Notre Dame in Evanston next week. That'll be a dandy, too. Hey, how can you do that? Check Greasy's math on that.
Noah Fant has been quiet in this game so far.
Hawkinson's made some noise. 3rd and 4. Out of the timeout. And it's Nick Easley. Easley caught the touchdown last year at the half that put Iowa up 7-5 at Kinnick against Penn State. It's a gain of 6.
Well, Nate Stanley last drive out threw a real ugly interception. A chance for him to get back on track here before halftime. Great throw and catch there with Easley. Stanley
just 4 of 15 passing for the game, and yet leading 17-14. Look, somebody jumped on Penn State across the line of scrimmage. Let's see.
Offside. defense number 93, causing the offensive player to move. 5-yard penalty remains, first down.
P.J. Mustafa, the true freshman from Owings Mills, Maryland. It's the 6th penalty against Penn State so far today. Quarterbacks must love 1st and 5. Lots to do. Here's Stanley. Sort of slings it out there. Sidearm to Brandon Smith. He has the first down yardage. Parsons made the stop. And again, no timeouts left for Iowa.
Well, if you're Nate Stanley, Mama said there'd be days like this. It has not been pretty, but still an opportunity to go down and get some points here before halftime would play a large part in his confidence going into half.
There's nothing pretty about Stanley. We saw him out in warm-ups. He's not worried about his clothes, his hair. He is pure football all the time. Nate Stanley, a real quiet leader on this Iowa team. See if Jackson jumped for the 2nd time, the left tackle.
Psych.
Faked you out.
False start. Offense number 77. 5-yard penalty remains, first down. Penn State has chosen to have the clock start at the snap. The clock will start at the snap.
First and 15 just across midfield.
From Iowa, trying to find Hawkinson.
Penn State fakes the blitz. And now it's the crossing underneath to Easley. And he will skip out of bounds at the 36 of Penn State.
Smart clock management and game management here from Iowa. You had a couple of penalties. You get behind the sticks. Don't panic. Don't try to force things down the field. Get the ball to Easley. Get it back on a more manageable down and distance, 2nd and 4 at the plus 36 in your business.
Sargent going to be thrown down for a loss. Gross Mato's got all of them. And the clock will roll.
Yeah, now you need to get a sense of urgency if you're Iowa. A negative run, the worst thing you could possibly have in that situation. Lose yards and the clock's running. If I'm them, I'm going to identify Hawkinson and throw the ball down the field. They haven't been able to run it at all.
Loss of 4 on the play. Issues with the snap. It's bobbled and it's loose. Penn State's got it. Second turnover for Iowa.
4th down. The clock will...
Looked like it was recovered by Iowa.
They signaled it was Penn State football.
Boy, miscommunication from the start.
Timeout. Penn State, it's the first charge.
So you saw James Franklin run onto the field to signal timeout.
So Nate Stanley's coming up to make a check. And in that situation, the offensive line, the center, you're in a hurry-up situation. You're not anticipating a change of a play in that situation. So the center snaps it, thinking that Stanley's called for the ball, and that's what led to the turnover.
So Franklin trying to get an explanation. The official signaled it was Penn State football. Franklin came up running on the field to call timeout. Looked like his assistants were grabbing him. You don't need the timeout. The clock would stop on the turnover. But now they say it's Iowa's football, and there's the turnover and the timeout.
So if Iowa recovered the football, then I understand the timeout, right, to stop the clock. Obviously, there's the official right there pointing in that direction. And so James Franklin is looking at that and saying, if that's a change of possession, why would you call the timeout?
Right. And Ross Reynolds is handing the football to the official, and he's pointing the other way. So some chaos, some confusion. And it won't just be Tuesday night. We have our first college football playoff rankings show. That'll be a whole lot of fun. Check out Reese the guys at 7 Eastern. 44 seconds left in the half. Peyton Mansell is the quarterback now.
Stanley
is in the bottom of your screen. He's open. Mansell trying to run. He'll be swung around and dropped by Gross Matos again at the line of scrimmage. Iowa getting a little cutesy there.
Well, I really don't like this call because Penn State still's got 2 timeouts. So now they're going to get the ball at the 42-yard line, punt the ball down there, get it inside the 20. You know that Tommy Stevens is playing quarterback. Don't give him anything. But now you just gave him the ball. It's like a turnover. I don't understand why you wouldn't punt down there.
I don't get it either. You were expecting the quick kick, something like that. But it turns over on downs now. Nittany Lions have it. 37 seconds left and 2 timeouts. With Trace McSorley, rather Tommy Stevens in there at quarterback. DeAndre Tompkins on the receiving end.
You have to wonder if he's in because he has a stronger arm or if after that one series, Trace McSorley came back and said, I'm not ready to go. It's going to be interesting to see how this plays out in the second half.
And I wonder if McSorley was just getting the jump start, some more time in the locker room, maybe some more medical attention. That's why he would be leaving early with 30 seconds left.
Well, I think it's pretty evident that the Trace McSorley you saw in those 3 or 4 plays was not the Trace McSorley we're used to seeing. So maybe it was the coaches that looked at him and say, listen, this is not the kind of situation for you to be in there trying to be mobile with a knee injury. And our best chance to win is going with Tommy Stevens.
And they have to win. Penn State has to win to get to where they want to be. At least a New Year's Six bowl game where they were a season ago. 2nd down and 1. With the ball at midfield. Tommy Stevens has run in for a touchdown. Stevens, pocket breaks down, had plenty of time. Now trying to get out of there and can't. Dropped by Anthony Nelson.
He does get a first down, stop the clock momentarily, get up on the line of scrimmage, call a play. Or spike it, but don't let time run off.
Have a true freshman kicker in Jake Pinniger. His long on the season, which is his career long, is 39. Here's Stevens throwing. Good throw to K.J. Handler. Just short of what we have as the field goal target line, but it is a first down. 7 seconds left, 1 timeout.
That was a big throw from Tommy Stevens to the outside. Well done. Stepped up in the pocket. Question is here, you got time if you want to throw the quick out. But it looks like James Franklin's going to come in and kick this field goal with 7 seconds.
Would be 45 from here. Again, Pinniger's career long and season long is the same as career, is 39.
6 seconds is really the threshold of whether you can run another play. But I agree with this decision just because of the inexperience at receiver. Guy catches it, tries to make a move. Take the field goal now.
And before the snap, and Pinniger kicks it anyway. And that's always a good play by the kicker.
Penn State has the 3rd and final charge.
You know, because Iowa, you think, all right, they're icing the true freshman kicker, but Iowa's out of timeouts. What's the Penn State thinking there?
How did I know you were going to ask me that?
That's why you're here. I ask the hard questions. Les McShay wants to jump in. Any thoughts on that timeout?
I'll let Greasy handle this one.
Oh, my gosh.
So, Greasy, I know you said, hey, you like the call in that spot, but with 1 timeout left, 7 seconds, the inexperienced wide receiver, you would have, even if he turns upfield, makes.
If this was an NFL game,
yeah,
right, you run another play, you get 7 or 8 yards,
right,
and you call a timeout, guy goes down direct. But these are young kids, right? If it were me, I wouldn't trust that the clock wouldn't run out in that situation.
Even with 1 timeout?
Even with the timeout.
Okay, now they're out of timeouts because they just spent 1. Here's Pinniger from 45. Try and tie the score. And in the end, it works out for Penn State. Field goal is good. And we're all tied at 17s.
And how big was that decision there by Kirk Ferentz to come in with the backup quarterback and try, something crazy there? He just gave 3 points to Penn State.
So some questionable coaching on both ends here As we approach halftime tonight, Big 12 battle between Texas and Oklahoma State, 8 Eastern on ABC and streaming on the ESPN app. And then tomorrow, you mentioned the NFL. Start it with NFL Countdown. How about this? Aaron Rodgers and Jared Goff will get together. Two former Cal quarterbacks sit down to discuss what they admire about each other's games.
Let's go back to that fourth down call from Kurt Ferentz and Brian Ferentz. You see, this is Nathan Stanley here, and back in the back is the backup quarterback, Peyton Mansell. And I'm not sure what they were trying to accomplish here. They're going to throw it back. They're trying to throw it back, and then they were going to throw it to Hawkinson on a throwback to the tight end. And it just went awry. Don't know that it's worth the risk at that point.
It does cost 3 points. It's a short kick. It'll be caught at the 25. They're going to run the clock off. Let's see. Still 2 seconds left. And we will have one more snap.
Well, we've had a lot of ups and downs, a lot of back and forth.
It's been a dirty game. It's been a dirty, messy Big Ten game. And we mean that with affection.
But this is the kind of game we expected, right? A close game. This is going to be a fourth quarter game, and we're going to have who knows who comes out of quarterback in the second half for Penn State. And Iowa just has not been able to get anything going offensively, so both defenses have gotten the upper hand.
Ooh. 2 fourth-quarter games in a row, potentially.
All right.
Getting hot, Grease. 17 all. And again, Iowa will get the kickoff to open up the second half. It has been a very, very entertaining first half as the rain has mostly subsided. And Todd will corral one of the coaches. Here's Todd McShay.
Coach, obviously, Trace McSorley's knee injury is the big story of the first half. How do you handle the quarterback situation in the second half?
Yeah, you know, we put him back in there because he felt like he could go. Got a lot of confidence in Trace, so we'll see what the trainer's saying, how he looks after half. You know, we're fortunate right now. It's 17 all. If it could have went wrong in the first half, it went wrong. Snaps overhead, drop snaps, 2 safeties, and obviously there at the end as well. So we're fortunate to be in this game right now. We'll go in halftime and get cleaned up.
All right, thanks, Coach. Brian, up to you.
All right, Coach Franklin, nice, right about that. Couldn't have gone much worse, and they're all tied. Send you back to Adnan, Joey, and Jesse. Please take this away. You're watching the Big Ten on ESPN, presented by PlayStation. Getting set for third quarter action. It's about as wild and crazy as you can get for 17 all. Iowa and Penn State. Take a look at our player spotlight. Brought to you by Discover Card. Numbers on Trace McSorley. And if you're just joining us, he would have more passing attempts, but he was unable to complete that first half. Here's McShay on McSorley.
Yeah, I'm getting sick and tired of going to people who won't give me answers, so I just decided to walk up to Trace and ask him himself. And I said, hey, you good? You ready to go? He goes, just shook his head, yes. He whispered yes, and then I ran off before any coaches saw me.
Don't give yourself away, McShay.
It's not the coach you have to worry about. It's the sports information director. So McSorley said he is good to go. Todd taking matters into his own hands. And so what's your thought on this?
Well, listen, I'm never going to count out Trace McSorley. He has proven time and time again that he's a winner and he's a competitor. Now, the question is, can he still function in the offense? Can he move around well enough to make plays? Can they have balance to score points? Because the Iowa defense has played well in the first half.
And this is the season on the line, really, for Penn State. To get to where they want to be, a New Year's Six bowl game, they cannot afford to suffer another loss here. This is the beginning of this 3-game stretch everyone has been focusing on for Penn State. And those 3-game stretches at Michigan and home to Wisconsin, they're great, but you got to win the first game, and that is here against Iowa.
See Garrett Taylor back in the ball game. He was out in the first half because he was suspended for a targeting violation in the game against Indiana. So right back in the first play of the game.
Chris, I don't want to just gloss over that first incompletion by Stanley. It looked like he was going for Noah Fant, and that is significant. We didn't see any of Fant in the first half.
First target to Fant. He's been their most explosive player. They got to get him involved in the second half.
On the ground. To Mekhi Sargent. He's got the first down. He'll stay on his feet. And an excellent run. Gain of 24.
The key to these plays for Iowa is the backside cutoff. You see here, Alaric Jackson gets the cutoff on Etor Matos. And second level for Mekhi Sargent. He's the more explosive of the three backs. When you get him to the second level, it's hard to get on the ground.
Saw Nick Easley blocking downfield there as well. First down and 10, approaching midfield now. Not this time. Sargent's going to be wrapped up. It's Gross Matos who is piling up the statistics. Must be his third tackle for a loss all game. Kevin Gibbons was the first player there.
He got the best of Jackson on that go-round. Gross Matos is a talented player, 6'5", 260 pounds. He's young, just a true sophomore. He's been known as a pass rusher. He had a sack to seal the game last week against Indiana, but now he's getting better and better against the run.
He had 10 tackles, 2 sacks last week, career highs for him. Must have 3 of the 6 tackles for loss so far by this Penn State defense. Here's 2nd and 14. Stanley trying to set up the screen and overshot Sargent. His problems could have gotten worse. Nearly intercepted. Oruwariye is always in the right spot. As the wind has started to whip up, the temperature has dropped down and it's sort of misting again. As you look at our month, that's more than misting.
That's rain. And this is where now, towards the latter half of the first half, I don't think that the ball security was an issue. But now as it starts to rain again, that ball gets slick.
And it's just started in the last 10, 15 minutes.
2 of 9 on third down conversion so far for Iowa. This is 3rd down and 14. Stanley steps and fires. Looking for Easley. Nearly had him. Easley was looking around for a flag. See if somebody tugged on his shoulder. But it's incomplete, 4th down.
You know, Todd, Nate Stanley has not looked like he's been in rhythm all game. This ball thrown way before Nate Easley makes his break. If he waits a half second more, he might have had him in the slot.
You know, and early in the game, Penn State was getting a lot of pressure on him, and I wonder if he's kind of sped up his clock. But to be perfectly blunt, for a guy who I think can play at the next level, we talked about how he still has room to grow, but today has been one of his worst passing performances that I've seen in 21 starts.
Rastetter, the punter, who threw a touchdown pass earlier in the game. And that punt will be stopped and down at the 23-yard line. And that's where Penn State will take over. It's a 33-yard punt by Rastetter, who threw a touchdown pass to Sam Brinks, if you're just joining us. It was a wild first half, couple of safeties. Of course, the injury to Trace McSorley.
And it looks like it will be Trace McSorley to come out in the second half. You see what Trace McSorley's like when he's healthy, extending plays, but he took this hit on the right knee, came back for one series towards the end of the first half. We'll see how well he can move around here.
1st down and 10. McSorley underneath to KJ Hamler. He'll turn the corner, 1st down. Out of about the 45-yard line. Getting KJ Hamler involved early. McSorley failed to throw a touchdown pass last week. Well documented. He had thrown a touchdown in 34 consecutive games. November of 15 was the last time he had a football game without throwing a touchdown pass prior to last week. So that streak came to an end at Indiana in a win. McSorley off the fingertips of Tompkins. Everybody needs to relax. That is not a drop. Everybody very focused and concerned here at Penn State about the drops. We talked to Ricky Ronnie about that. He said it can get in the kids' heads. I mean, that's all they're hearing. And he said what he does is he doesn't tell the receivers, hey, catch the ball. That's right. That's the worst thing a coach can say. Hey, block better. No, well, how do you block better? How do you hang on to the football? 2nd and 10. That's how you hang on to the football, make a grab. KJ Hamler stopped by Amani Hooker. He's going to be short of the marker, 3rd down.
I think what's interesting is you would think, you know, that all the youth at the wide receiver position and it's starting to rain, right? It would tell you that Penn State should try to run the football, right? But their best running back has been Trace McSorley and the RPO, the zone read system. And without his mobility now, to just turn around and hand it to Sanders is not going to work. So That's why I think you see them throwing the ball here 3 out of the first 4 snaps.
And Iowa knows it too. Iowa's defense knows it too. That McSorley can't run the way he did, let's say, a week ago. Although he takes off here on cue. Trace McSorley runs just fine down the sideline for the touchdown. 51 yards for the score. The knee looks just fine. You were saying.
Exactly as I was saying.
we were saying.
Well, what did I say coming into the second half is, listen, you never count this kid out. I mean, he is one of the best, if not the best competitor that I've seen in 11 years covering college football. I'm not going to count that kid out. He's tough, smart, and he's a leader. He's a winner.
I know Todd mentioned on Twitter, hey, we're not in the business of rooting for teams, but this is a guy we root for in Trace McSorley. Extra point is good. McSorley appears to be okay, and Penn State has their first lead of the game. The embrace from the head coach. Cobell is celebrating student sections and passionate fans like these by awarding the best student section of the year. The Nittany Lions student section already on the national watch list. Go to ESPN.com/Taco Bell to see how your school can compete. Well, we were just saying Trace McSorley looks like he's his old self running the football. And he took off for 51. Tying his,
right in our face, huh?
tying his career high long. He ran for 51 against Ohio State.
But how did he get that wide open? And I think you look back and Phil Parker taking a little bit of a risk here. He's got no safety in the game. It's 3rd and short here. Watch the linebacker Hockaday. He's going to go with the back Sanders. And when he does that, there's nobody left for Trace McSorley. It was an aggressive play call from Phil Parker. Great play call on the opposite side from Penn State, and Trace McSorley into the end zone for a huge touchdown.
McSorley came in having rushed for 189 more yards this season already than all of last season. And he's piling up the numbers. Here's Sargent now trying to get first down yardage on 1st and 10. And he does have it. 24-17. A game that started out awful for the Nittany Lions. They have their first lead of the afternoon. First down and 10. Out of the 35. It's Sargent again, picking his hole, staying on his feet, and he will be thrust forward for another first down. Mekhi Sargent, the sophomore from Key West, Florida, gets 12 on the play with some help from his friends.
Fully anticipate Brian Ferentz to make the adjustments at halftime in the run game. They didn't do it very well in the first half, but now they're coming off a little bit more power run. You're getting Mekhi Sargent involved in the run game, and you see the effort. The second level gets the first down.
61 yards for Sargent. Grease mentioned earlier they have not had a 100-yard rusher all season. They also haven't beaten a ranked team all season.
Iowa got away with a false start there from Hawkinson. Made it look like he was looking for the adjustment.
Get it away with 2 on the play clock. It's Sargent again for about 5. Koa Farmer has been rather quiet today. Farmer comes up and makes the stop. The only California kid on the Penn State roster.
If Iowa wants to get to the Big Ten championship, you're going to have to win these hard-fought games on the road. And Brian Ferentz understands that he's got a quarterback that has been shaky at best, but he's got to settle him down, and the best way to do that is to run the football.
Torrin Young now checks in. He's behind Austin Kelly, the fullback. And they give it to Young. Back to the line of scrimmage, and nothing else doing there. 3rd down.
Brought down by Cole Farmer.
Nate Stanley's passing numbers are ugly. 6 of 20. 71 yards. And on 3rd down, yeah.
Well, I understand it's tough conditions, but find your best player, find your matchup, and that's Noah Fant. You got him lined up in the slot right here. It looks like he's one-on-one with Nick Scott.
It's easily in motion. Top of your screen. 3rd and 5. Here comes the pressure up the middle. It's picked up nicely. Stanley underneath, overthrew his intended target, Nick Easley. Had him, and then he didn't.
That's tough. This is an easy throw. Just coming across the line of scrimmage here, you'll see Easley. It's a shallow cross. And as a quarterback, you just want to put this ball a foot in front of the numbers, and that's not even close. I mean, that's in another zip code. And Nate Stanley has been good in these situations, but he's got to figure it out today.
Oh, for his last 4. How has Penn State taken Fant away? How does he take him out of the offense? They're not even going his direction.
That time, Nick Scott was one-on-one. I'd take a shot with the kid.
4th down and 5. Rastetter will take his time, put it away. He takes a bounce for Tompkins at the 15, trying to reverse field, and that's not going to happen. Take a look at today's hardest working player, brought to you by the Duluth Trading Company. It's all Trace McSorley all the time.
Well, he's been a hard worker throughout his entire career, and looked like he may not return to this football game. Didn't look great when he came back in at the end of the first half. But that's a competitor, and that's the face of Penn State football right now. It has been for the last 3 years. And time's running out in his career at Penn State. I don't think he's going to let one snap go by.
Right after that embrace with his coach, got the next hug from Tommy Stevens, too, who was right there to cheer on his teammate. Miles Sanders on the ground for about 5. Amani Hooker tripped him up. Hooker was a monster last year in this game. He had 13 tackles in his first start, and that came against these Nittany Lions in that classic game they played at Kinnick Stadium under the lights. And maybe we've got something special brewing here in a 7-point game, 9 minutes to play in the 3rd quarter from Happy Valley. Fake it to Handler, give it to Sanders. Hockaday and Nelson weren't buying the fake. Maybe they should have given it to Handler.
Well, the strong suit of this Iowa team is this defensive line, and we haven't mentioned them in quite some time. I think since the first quarter, they give up the big touchdown run to McSorley, but guys like Epinesa, Nelson, Parker Hesse, the leader of that defense and the spirit, they need to show up here in the second half.
3rd down and 7. This would be a good spot for that. Showing blitz. Here it comes late. It's picked up nicely. McSorley gets it out and could not find Hamler. Hooker had the coverage, and it's 4th down.
And that was a great job by the offensive line of Penn State picking up that pressure. But again, you see Hamler and these wide receivers unable to separate from man-to-man coverage and really know where to go with that football.
O.J. Mudia came on the blitz. 4th down and 7. Gillikin. This was where the safety happened. Well, the first block punt that led to the safety. And then the other safety was down at the other end of the stadium. 4th and 7. Gillikin gets that one away. What a punt that is. And it will be down. Gillikin's had a tough game in every way. A 53-yard punt nails that. He almost won $1 billion last night.
It's like the Mega Millions.
Here's McShay, just a bit outside. And here's your...
Oh, there he is, the hockey guy.
The faithful hockey announcer.
Oh, my God, just a bit outside.
See, I lifted it, though. I tried to hammer it into the corner.
So bad.
And I actually put it in the corner. I meant the corner of the net.
You know, you were the only hockey guy. You know, McShay grew up in the Northeast. He learned how to skate. I'm a Florida guy. I had no idea how to skate. I'm the only one that hit the board.
Greasy couldn't decide, should I shoot it right or should I shoot it left?
You always should have it.
Yeah. 8 minutes even left. Passing Nick Easley. It's a gain of just 1 yard on the play. Got a second crack. It felt so badly. Lifted the air. I like to call that 5-hole.
See him holding up. They're holding up the board.
There's about a quarter of an inch, maybe a 1/4 of an inch. Yeah, a 1/4 of an inch on each side of the puck. That will allow that to slip through there.
That was an awesome stadium.
Yes.
Penn State Stadium. Unbelievable. Beautiful facility.
They do a great job, no question. And on the glass, of course, college hockey hashtag and a sign for John Butchergrass, our pal.
Yeah.
So, fun time that. Kabula Ice Arena is gorgeous. Sargent stopped by Sharif Miller. 3rd down, upcoming time.
What a play by Sharif Miller there, number 48. Watch him stack the edge.
with his hands, he holds off the block, he locates the ball carrier, and is able to disengage and make the play. This defensive line has been dominant for the most part tonight. Pass rush, run defense, and Miller really has been the anchor.
Miller's been great, Todd. Kevin Gibbons, who they moved from defensive end inside to defensive tackle, and Robert Windsor, we said his name 5 times in the first 10 minutes of the game.
3rd and 7. Stanley is swallowed up by Yetur Gross-Matos, who is taking over this game for that defensive line spot for Penn State. Coming off the edge.
They took over the game a week ago in the 4th quarter. Gross-Matos and Shakatoni, and beat Indiana single-handedly. This time he just gives a club to Alaric Jackson, and no time for Nate Stanley to get rid of that football. This defensive line for Penn State's taking over this game.
9th tackle, 2nd sack. Hamler is back deep. 4 tackles for loss so far. Gross-Matos having himself a ball game. Rathstetter will boot it away. Hamler able to handle that cleanly and step up to the 45. So Penn State already leading by 7. They'll have excellent field position after the 37-yard punt. Tonight, 8 Eastern on ABC. It's Texas heading to Stillwater to take on Oklahoma State. That's tonight. Then Monday night, Tom Brady and the Patriots are in Buffalo to take on the Bills. Coverage kicks off at 6 Eastern with Monday Night Countdown. Susie and the gang. Tom Brady is 28-3 against Buffalo. Had one of my Buffalo pals talking with Grease, and he said it was like your dad used to do to Buffalo, too. Not welcome in Orchard Park, New York. DeAndre Tompkins. A solid throw there by McSorley. Here come the Nittany Lions to the 40.
You know, one of the things I think is interesting about a quarterback when you're injured and you limited your game, right? Trace McSorley, he's not going to do a whole lot of lateral stuff. We saw him run for 51 yards on a touchdown.
Yeah, we did.
But I think he's going to focus on throwing the football from the pocket a little bit more.
There he is, setting it up nicely. It's K.J. Hamler down the sideline. Hamler turning into his go-to guy here. You mentioned the trust in the first half. Needing to trust a player, and Hamler's the guy. There is a flag down on the field. We'll see if that's coming back.
There's no foul for an ineligible receiver downfield. The passer behind the line of scrimmage. First down.
That's my favorite penalty. Pick up the flag. Pick it up. No foul. James Franklin coaching in his 100th game today as head coach. Record at Penn State of 41-19. Hamler has 4 catches for 57 yards. Penn State on the move at the Iowa 28. First down and 10. Pressure up the middle is picked up. McSorley had a wide open target in Brandon Polk, and McSorley threw it over his head. Polk only goes 5'9", but still.
Wonder there if he's just struggling to drive off that back foot. Obviously, his right knee is the drive knee as a passer, and just looked like he didn't have the natural stroke that he normally does in that throw.
Yeah, Todd, you got to change your whole mechanics, right? I mean, you work so hard with your mechanics from day in and day out, and when you can't push off, it changes.
McSorley got it batted down to the line of scrimmage and nearly intercepted. Anthony Nelson got a hand on it, nearly wound up with the pick.
It's Matt Nelson. He goes 6'8", and when he raises his arm, he's about 7'5", and you can see where he was going. He's going to Tompkins with that football, and that's what they coach. These defensive linemen. And that's why I said early in the game, sometimes as a quarterback, you have to look off defensive line. If you stare down your receiver, they'll get that big mid on it.
Second pass knocked down by this massive line. We told you last year in this matchup, they batted down 6 McSorley footballs. Here's 3rd down and 10, 5 even to go in the 3rd. McSorley can't get away. It's Anthony Nelson having himself a series.
Anthony Nelson.
Great rush there on the outside from Anthony Nelson. He's 6'7", and he uses that extension. Here he is working on Will Fries. Fries has struggled this season. He's struggled with confidence, and McSorley knows it. He understands he's got a liability on the right side of the offensive line, but Nelson got to him in no time at all.
Nelson, Brinks, the other Nelson, and Hesse, all 4 starters on that defensive line, all Iowa kids. This is a 49-yard field goal attempt for Jake Pinniger. On the way, and it is good. The true freshman kicker, who's an Iowa native, gives Penn State a 10-point lead. James Franklin, in his 100th game as a head coach overall, with a 10-point lead. Back in Happy Valley, take a look at today's PlayStation Player Index. That's KJ Hamler, who came in leading the team in receiving yards and touchdowns. He has 4 catches so far for 57 yards. He's been targeted 6 times. These folks do a little birthday wish for him.
His birthday this week?
Every birthday. Can't confirm it's his birthday this week.
All right.
I knew you were going to ask me that.
So good for him.
A little role reversal. His birthday's actually in July. So last July it was Hamlet time.
Just have fun, you have nothing to prove. Just go do what you do. Hit them with a 2-piece or maybe a slap. Not a hitch and go, they ain't ready for that. No need to show them all your new tricks. Just show them why they call you the human joystick. Yeah. Guess what we not gonna do though? We not gonna keep doing this every year, boo, because I don't get paid for this. I'm your mother, I'm not a rapper. But I was sweet though, wasn't I? Yeah.
Look at that, bring it home, Dad. Are you kidding? That's the best thing I've seen all season. She should be getting paid for that. Somebody out there with a record contract, a record label. Sign her up. Here's Adnan Verk.
Leaves, I appreciate the rap video you sent me for my birthday this past July. Meantime, South Florida and Houston. Here's De'Ara King making some moves. South Florida unbeaten at 7-0. They're being pushed today versus Houston. And right now, it is a 35-29 game. Florida, Georgia, by the way, Georgia has the lead. 3 field goals inside 25 yards, so it's only a 9-point game. Leaves?
All right, Adnan, thank you. I believe the Hamler family has been notified. There's Mom and Dad, and they're smiling. Somebody's watching the broadcast, and hey, you were just rapping on ESPN again. They've done it a couple of years in a row. And, you know, some kids might be embarrassed with their parents doing that. No. KJ actually retweeted it himself. So, you know, he's cool with that.
That was too good to keep just to yourself.
Right? That's so good, man. Love the spirit. Having a good time. Gross Matos being helped off. He has been a force, the leader on this Penn State defense this afternoon for sure. He'll be replaced by Daniel Joseph, the sophomore from Brampton, Ontario. Good Canadian boy, if you will. 4 minutes to go. Third quarter action. Penn State by 10. On the ground. Torn Young, the ball carrier. We have not seen Ivory Kelly Martin since he fumbled. The first fumble of any of the 3 running backs from Iowa. That's how they roll in Iowa, man. You fumble one time all season, get out.
Yeah, they're going to protect the football. That's their recipe. Run the football, protect it, play good defense. At some point, you got to throw the football. You got to get to your best players. Noah Fant and T.J. Hawkinson, they're both in the game.
3rd and 10, this would be a good point to do that. Stanley Cox and fires and finds Brandon Smith. Excellent effort by Smith to get the first down yardage. Oruwariye did everything he could, but couldn't hold him off. Needed 10, got 11.
Well, Smith goes 6'3", 220 pounds. A good-looking route there, right on the body. It's easy to catch despite the weather. And then just the power from Smith. He did not have the first down initially, but the extra effort got it.
Ball out of the 36. Sargent was nearly tripped up on first contact. Little second effort. Able to buy him 3 yards. We click under 3 minutes left here in the third.
Steve, time and time again, we see the safeties for Penn State. Nick Scott and Garrett Taylor in the second half here making the play in the run game 2-3 yards downfield. What does that tell you? It tells you the safeties are feeling fast. You have to start using play action and go down the middle of the field with the tight ends to make them pay.
2nd down and 6 upcoming. Bit of a draw to Sargent. Maybe a yard on the play. 3rd down and 5. So where are these super duo of a tight end group for Iowa we keep hearing about?
We came into this game and I said it. I think this is the best tight end tandem in college football. They affect the game in ways that other tandems don't. And Todd, I have no idea why they haven't been targeted.
Well, one reason is Noah Fant is struggling to get open against some smaller defensive backs. Even on the last pass, John Reed, the cornerback, who's 5'10", 180 pounds, was getting physical with him. That's going to be the next step in his development, is learning how to get off a press.
Here's Stanley. Had the pump and then went off the hands of Nick Easley. Again, when you study Iowa, all you read is about these star tight ends and the rivalry they have with each other. Making plays, the leading receivers, nothing doing this afternoon.
You see where Stanley wants to throw this football. He wants to throw it to the outside slant, but Easley comes back outside. You can't do that on a double slant. That's the big no-no. And you got guys that are trying to make plays that are not there on the offense for Iowa and breaking down the structure of the route. Easley that time prevented the first down.
Colton Rastetter wearing him out in this quarter. This is his 4th punt of the quarter. It still has a minute and a half left. Hamler goes scurry out of bounds out to the 22-yard line. Take a look at this week's college football rankings brought to you by Chick-fil-A.
And you see LSU 4 now, and Georgia leads. That's the big one there. Georgia leads 23-14 against Florida. That would be a huge jump for the Bulldogs after that embarrassing 20-point loss to LSU. And Florida, I think Florida should be higher, to be completely honest. I think they have one of the best wins all season in the win over LSU.
Can you imagine we're talking about Florida like this after they finally lose at home this year to Kentucky after 31 years? It's amazing, right, how down people were down at the Swamp and Gatorland, and they've completely turned things around. Dan Mullen, his first season there. Here's Miles Sanders on the ground. There's 70 seconds left to play in this 3rd quarter. Penn State scoring 10 points here in the 3rd. That is their 10-point lead, 27-17. You mentioned Michigan being off. Iowa McSorley to throw. And nearly intercepted. That was close. Jake Gervais nearly picked it off. DeAndre Tompkins, the intended target.
McSorley missed this throw. It's supposed to be on the sideline. That's about 5 yards inside of where that ball should have been. And he's very lucky that Jake Gervais didn't intercept that ball. Give credit to Tompkins for getting an arm in there to break it up.
And 6.
It's a 2-deep defense with man underneath. Phil Parker would never have played this defense with a healthy Trace McSorley.
McSorley airing one out, has a man. It's Hamler, had to hold up, and he's able to bring it down. KJ Hamler on the receiving end of a big play. 39 yards on a pitch and catch.
Geno Stone is the safety over the top, and Hamler runs right by Amani Hooker. That's Stone's play to make. In a 2-deep man under defense, there's no way you should be able to throw a ball like that high in the air without the safety making the play on it.
And that'll bother Stone more than anyone else. This was his dream school, Penn State. He made 9 unofficial visits to try and be a Nittany Lion. They said, hey, we're going to offer you, we'll get to you, and they never got to him. And he said that really upset him. He was on his way to Kent State, wanted to play at his dream school, Penn State, and it never happened. So here he is at Iowa, and he gives up that last play. Trace McSorley and Penn State entering familiar territory. A 10-point lead at home as we hit the fourth quarter next. Back, college football is presented by PlayStation. 27-17 Penn State as we open up the fourth. Steve Levy, Brian Greasy, and Todd McShay. State College, PA. Here's Trace McSorley on the run. Again, the need looks just fine. Second and short. Hey, they honored a bunch of Penn State legends at halftime. We want to say hello to Matt Millen. He's been having some recent medical difficulties. Matt left Penn State in 1979. Is receiving excellent treatment. All of us wish our close friend and fellow broadcaster Matt Millen all our best wishes. He's a championship guy.
Yeah, one of the best we've ever had at ESPN. And we're thinking about you, Matt.
Get better soon, each and every day. Miles Sanders has first down yardage. Feels like Penn State's starting to take this game over with a 10-point lead.
There's no question. It started with their defense, and that defensive line has really stymied Iowa in the second half, held them scoreless. They really have got nothing going on offense, and now this offense for Penn State and the running game is starting to take hold.
Back on the ground is Sanders. Again, it's a 10-point lead as Penn State looks to tack on to that lead. 14 minutes to go here in the fourth, and Penn State fans know these numbers a little bit too well.
I think that's a negative approach here in the fourth quarter, but you see what has happened. And certainly everyone in the Penn State faithful is aware. The difference, in my opinion, in this game is their defense has really controlled.
Second and four. McSorley off the play fake, throwing for it, and it was too high. Too high. Freiermuth was the intended target, and how he is writhing in pain down on the field.
Yeah, he's sold out. That ball was over his head. He sold out to try to make the catch and came down hard on that shoulder in certain pain there on the ground. It's one of their top targets as well, outside of Hamler. Would be a big loss if they lose him.
One of McSorley's trusted receivers.
Ruth on the previous play came through in a lead blocker situation. See, he led on the block with that left shoulder and afterwards started to grab that. And then the subsequent play was the attempt for him to go up and make that touchdown catch. Just something not right with that left shoulder. We'll see if he gets back in the game.
Third down and 4.
Tommy Stevens is in the game right here. He's run 3 or 4 routes as a receiver in these situations.
McSorley, again, proving he's just fine. Taking on some people, but not until he had the first down. Gervais takes a couple of shots at McSorley there, but he wanted the first down and he got it.
I mean, it's just the epitome of toughness. You know, this kid is not going to be denied. And time again, he's been questioned. Not tall enough, not fast enough, not a strong enough arm. Everybody has been on this kid throughout his entire career, and this is a fitting way for Trace McSorley to come back in this football game after getting hurt in the first half and lead his team.
Freiermuth is back in there. True freshman from Merrimack, Massachusetts. And it's a fumble. Too tricky, Penn State. And it's recovered by Jack Hockaday. Turnover at the worst possible time. The first Nittany Lions turnover of the game.
Looks like they tried to get a little cue with Hamler coming this way, but this is between Sanders and McSorley. The exchange there never seemed to be right. But you see Sanders look back, and that's a costly turnover for Penn State. You're going so well with McSorley running the ball and throwing the ball, and you try to get a little bit too cute in the red zone, and it comes back to bite you.
Here's Iowa, down 10. 12:57 to go, quarter number 4. And it looks like motion. Yeah, that's Jackson, the left tackle.
Offense, number 77. 5-yard penalty remains. First down.
That is Alaric Jackson, the sophomore from Detroit, 3rd time.
Yeah, and the reason why we keep seeing this, Steve, is because they're changing the play at the line of scrimmage. We saw a corner coming off the edge that time. Nate Stanley did try to change the play, and the offensive line wasn't on the same page.
Backs him up 5, 1st and 15. From inside the 5. Stanley from his end zone throws across the middle. It's Hawkinson. Wide open and a beauty to get him out of danger. T.J. Hawkinson. 3rd catch of the game. 20 yards on the play.
If you notice on that throw, which might have been the best throw by Stanley all day, hanging in the pocket, open receiver, and just drove it in there. But he hit his hand, I believe, on the back of a helmet on someone's pads, and he's been kind of wincing and trying to shake it off since.
Yeah, Todd, it was Robert Windsor coming up right up the middle, and that hurts. That hurts any time, but when it's cold and wet out, it hurts even worse.
Play fake. Stanley going to be hit as he throws, and it's incomplete. Tried to get it to Smith-Marset, but he had to throw that one too early. The pressure coming from Penn State.
Yeah, we got to keep an eye on that right hand of Nate Stanley, because that ball came out weird. Wasn't on target at all, and maybe after this play we'll go back and take another look at that hand coming down on the helmet a play ago.
9 of 27 for Nate Stanley. Stanley throwing, yeah, there it is, that same play. It's Noah Fant. Welcome to the football game. Noah Fant, his first catch, and it comes with 12 minutes left in the 4th, a gain of 22.
And this is just the run-pass option, puts the ball in the belly of the back, and you try to split the defense with Fant. But honestly, I can't tell you. I have no idea why they haven't done this before. I understand Todd said that he's been having trouble getting open. He's 6'5".
Right.
If there's a corner guard, then throw the ball up and let him go get it.
He was their leading receiver coming in terms of receptions. Hawkinson had one more receiving yard, and he's wide open there. And Stanley can't hit him. And Fant is frustrated, as is Stanley now, and he quickly grabs the hand.
Yeah, something's wrong with that right hand. This is as wide open as you're going to get in college football. There he is, and the ball just too short. And Stanley goes right back to that. I don't know. He's not looking at that hand. That's just a missed opportunity. You got to make those plays. If you want to compete in the Big Ten, you got a chance. Northwestern beat up on Wisconsin, so now you control your own destiny in the 4th quarter on the road. You got to make that play.
Down 10 with the football. Again, a little low. That time Smith-Marset able to bail him out and make the grab. Remember the great play fake by Stanley earlier. Had a wide open man for an easy touchdown, and misfired on that one too. You'll never have an easier touchdown pass.
That was Hawkinson in the first half when they were trying to go for the jugular to go up 2 touchdowns, and Trace McSorley was hurt. And now he missed to Fant. Here's a huge 3rd down for Nate Stanley. You got to make this.
Again, Stanley skips it off the grass, incomplete. Looking for Groeneweg.
Now he's holding that thumb again, but that's a 3rd straight low throw, Steve, and you just got to drive it. Use your feet, your legs. Don't just depend on your arm. He's not following through right there, and that ball's going right in the dirt. And Brian Ferentz needs to calm him down, say, listen, what's going on here? Is your hand okay? Tell me, give me all the information I need, because that's not the Nate Stanley we watched play for the first part of the season.
Ryan, these are middle school throws.
So this is a bad time to ask you about the big board there, McShay?
Yep.
Okay. Rastetter, another punt. Tompkins will let it bounce. And Penn State will get the football up 10. So the turnover doesn't hurt them. If anything, it's Nate Stanley who might be hurt. Banging that hand off Keegan Render, his center. We'll be right back. I don't think the Skittles are contagious at all, Grease. I don't think so. Hey, good job by everybody, especially Cindy and Brittany, who run our operations team. We had a little Halloween party at the local bowling alley. A good time was had by all.
And Brittany actually had a strike in the T-Rex costume. That was the best part of the whole thing.
And the dance, hard to do, hard to do. Worst starting field position of the game, as you might expect, from their 8-yard line. Sanders, nothing doing. That'll go for a loss. Matt Nelson.
Steve, let's go back and look at Nate Stanley. This is from right above. Watch his right thumb come back on the helmet of his center there. I can tell you that hurts more than you can imagine. And the question is, did it get bent back and was there any ligament damage? And the reason that's important is because your thumb supports the ball. And if you can't pressure the other side of the ball with your thumb, it's very hard to throw it.
I'm almost surprised that play doesn't happen more often, both in practice and in games, whether it's your own guy's helmet or the other team's helmet from an on-rushing pass rusher. McSorley on the throw. Intercepted. It's picked off. It's Geno Stone. Stone inside the 20. Down the sideline. Touchdown. Geno Stone from Newcastle, Pennsylvania, who begged them to let him play at Penn State. Comes back to burn the Nittany Lions with the score. That's 2 turnovers the last 3 snaps by the Nittany Lions, and the complexion of this game has just changed greatly.
Wow. The kid that grew up watching this program was no bigger Penn State fan than Stone, and he's talked about wanting to get revenge and how big this game is for him. He was beat earlier in the game for a big play by Hamler. Now he makes a big play of his own.
Extra point on the way and good. It's a 4-point game with 10 minutes left.
So turnovers for Penn State here in the 4th quarter really starting to rear their ugly head. It was the fumble on the missed exchange between McSorley and Sanders, which led to the Iowa turnover, and now McSorley makes the mistake trying to force this ball on the second level, not reading Stone, the safety, who drove perfectly and then finished in the end zone.
Think about this. The Iowa special teams and defenses accounted for 18 points here today. 18 of their 24. We showed you this earlier. Maybe it's a little more relevant now as we creep towards 10 minutes left here at home for Penn State with a 3-point lead, and they will get the football. A defensive score, a pick 6 by Geno Stone. Again, 9 unofficial visits, Grease. Couldn't give him one official one. 9 unofficial. Didn't want him. Was going to Kent State. Said, hey, I'll try Iowa on for size, and he comes back home. Wow, what a story. KJ Hamler from the 2. Finds a seam. There's the burst. Down the sideline. KJ Hamler, what a return. It's KJ Hamler to the rescue. 68 yards on the return.
Looked like there was a scramble there for the ball at the end. Oh, yeah, he's down clearly. What an explosive play from KJ Hamler. You kick this guy the ball, and he's the most explosive player on the Penn State team. And whether his mom's making a rap for him or not, she called him the human joystick, and on that return, he certainly juked a couple of folks.
He had a 58-yard kick return last week. Mom and Dad, it's a little too cold out there to be dancing right now. See about after the game. So that's how Penn State answers. Here's McSorley on the quarterback draw. Gervais makes the stop. KJ Hamler is fun to watch in all aspects.
See how Penn State decides to play this here. Up 3. The clock's ticked under 10 minutes now, and they're in the red zone fringe area. How aggressive will they be with Trace McSorley?
On the ground is Sanders, trying to turn the corner. And that Iowa defense comes up for the big stop. Julius Brents comes up to make the stop. The true freshman from Indianapolis.
Should know that Stanley was just getting looked at again by the trainers and just trying to get comfortable with the tape that they put on his throwing hand and around his throwing thumb. And meantime, Mansell, the backup, Peyton Mansell, has been warming up the entire time just in case.
That's Petrus, the third-string quarterback on the right. 3rd and 5. Good protection. McSorley on the run now. And DeAndre Tompkins never turned his head back to the quarterback.
Give credit to that secondary for Iowa. It's the coverage. Two true freshmen, as we mentioned, at corner on the outside, and you've got new safeties in there, and there's nowhere to go with that football. And typically, Trace McSorley would escape, extend, and then allow those guys to get open, but that knee's just preventing him from that lateral movement.
This is a pressure kick for the true freshman, Jake Pinniger. Already hit from 45 and 49. This from 44. And the kid looks cool. The Iowa native has extended Penn State's lead to 6.
Wow. Coming into this game, Pinniger's longest field goal was 39 yards. Now he has 3 from over 40. That's 12 points for the Nittany Lions. You know, Nate Stanley coming into this last drive. He's got to figure this out. The last 3 throws of the game, Steve, all low, in the ground on first, second, and then this big third down where a guy wide open. So he gets taped on the sideline. His thumb got to be in pain, but you got an opportunity here with 8.5 left, only down 6, an opportunity to win this football game. You got to figure it out.
It's been a long time since Iowa's been in a tight game, Grease. Really have to go back to the loss against Wisconsin. And then before that, the game against Iowa State. Really, 2 games on the schedule have been in close games. Here's Adnan Burke with an update.
All right, Leafs, thank you very much. First and foremost, I want to show you what's happened in Florida and Georgia. So Jake Fromm, 3 touchdown passes, ties his career high. And then DeAndre Swift, first 100-yard rushing game of his career. This one for 33 yards. Georgia, 36-17 against that Florida defense. And TCU and Kansas, there's Puka Williams on the screen. Kansas hadn't won a game in the month of October since 2009. 38 games, but they edged TCU 27-26. Steve?
Another amazing college football Saturday across this great country of ours. On first down and 10, it's Torrin Young, stopped by Sharif Miller. And we'll keep a close eye on Nate Stanley.
Yeah, the work ahead of Iowa offensively is great because Penn State has been up to the challenge in the second half defensively. They have not allowed Iowa's offense past the 48-yard line this half. So if Iowa's going to win this football game, they're going to have to do something here they haven't done yet this half.
They punted on 5 straight possessions. Prior to that was halftime. Prior to that, they turned it over on downs. The Iowa offense has accounted for 2 field goals. Otherwise, it's been all defense and special teams for the Hawkeyes. Here's Stanley throwing underneath and completing to Noah Fant. And he's got the first down. His second catch of the game. Maybe he's saving his best for the 4th quarter.
Well, he should be fresh. Todd, there was some explosion there from Noah Fant. You see how he pulls away from the linebacker.
Yeah, it's just about getting him a clean release and get going in his route because he's the most athletic tight end in all of college football. He's basically a bigger wide receiver, so they've got to continue to find ways to get him off the line of scrimmage free.
First down and 10. Underneath, it's Fant again. Cam Brown on the coverage. Fant came in with 6 touchdowns, tied with Jace Sternberger of Texas A&M for the most touchdowns in the country among tight ends. And again, that'll be a great part of the press conference post-game. What was going on all game long with Noah Fant?
Well, I don't really care what was going on the rest of the game. All that matters is this drive right here. You get him involved, you go score a touchdown, and you're back up on top. They've run back-to-back the same play, one to one side and then the other to get him involved.
12 yards on that last play. 6:45 to go in the 4th. Stanley. Again, it's Noah Fant. And all of a sudden, it's the Noah Fant show.
You know what else I like about the approach here is just little chunks. You know, not trying to push the ball down the field. You don't need to get it all in one throw, but it's just little chunks, 5-6 yard throws, and you get a first down, and you're almost at midfield.
3 consecutive completions to Fant for 12, 4, and 7 yards. Fant's brother as a high school football coach, went on social media. He was concerned about the way his brother was being used after Fant suffered his first concussion. And that made headlines and grabbed a lot of attention. And Fant didn't miss a game. Here's Sargent turning the corner, cross midfield down the sideline. If he didn't step out, he's tripped up at the 10-yard line. Mekhi Sargent rambles down the sideline, and we'll see where they spot him.
Big block by number 39, Weeding. Watch him come out and get the block on Oruwariye, and that allows Sargent to stay in bounds. Looks like he stepped out, yeah. But a big-time block from Weeding. We talk all about Hawkinson and Fant, but Weeding is an integral part of this offense for Iowa.
Weeding recovered a fumble earlier in the game. How many teams play 3 tight ends on a regular? That's Iowa football.
Iowa, Stanford, Michigan, that's about it. Maybe Wisconsin.
Would have been a 45-yard gain if it stands. What's he going to mark him out? I think he stepped out at about the 31-yard line. We'll take a look. And then they'll add some clock on as well.
Yeah. Looks like the 31.5 there. It's interesting now for Brent Pry, the defensive coordinator for Penn State. They've come out early in this drive and they've targeted Fant. You need to figure out a way to maybe double team Fant, but if you do that, then you're opening yourself up to the run game.
After review, the runner stepped out of bounds at the 32-yard line. Please reset the game clock to 6 minutes on the clock.
So it goes as 20 yards instead of 45. They added 20 seconds. That's a lot of time. It took 20 seconds for him to go 10 yards, 12 yards.
Noah Fant not in the football game. And the 3 wide receiver set with Hawkinson.
Torn Young is back there now. That's Groeneweg who went in motion. And there's a flag now.
False start. Offense, number 74. 5-yard penalty remains. First down.
That's Tristan Wirfs, who's a sophomore. He was the first true freshman in the Ferentz era to start a game at offensive tackle last season.
I think this is on the center render. You see 3 guys moving, even the quarterback moving. That ball was supposed to be snapped, and Render points to his ears like, I can't hear you. This crowd's starting to make their impact.
They flip it to Smith-Marset. And he's able to turn the corner. Stanley trying to get the block on Garrett Taylor. Groeneweg got it first. He flipped it to Smith-Marset. And a big second down.
It's interesting that Brian Ferentz chose to stay with that play call because that was the same play they had on before. And I think Penn State saw the motion and was able to communicate the reverse.
Yards are close. Score is close. Rankings are close. Under 5 to go. Good one from Happy Valley. Fumble snapped by Stanley. Able to recover. And he'll throw it out of bounds. Had Nick Easley in the neighborhood.
Boy, and Keegan Render is having a tough drive here. This ball comes up way short and way to the left. And Nate Stanley did a nice job of just getting that ball and throwing it away in the vicinity of a receiver to avoid the intentional ground.
Yeah. 3rd down and 10. Neither team's been able to convert on 3rd down here today. Trailing by 6. 4:50 to go. Stanley able to get rid of it. It's Sargent out of the backfield for the first down. A massive play on 3rd down and 10, Todd.
Sargent, it really has been the spark offensively for Iowa in this second half. He usually isn't the top ball carrier, but you see here working out of the backfield, a huge cut to create the extra yards and to pick up a crucial first down for Iowa.
Yeah, Todd, it's a great job of getting him the ball in the passing game. That's his first catch, but he already has 91 yards rushing in the game.
15-yard play there. Again, Iowa's not had a 100-yard running back all season. He's at 91. More important things on the line here. Stanley, pressure right up the middle, hit as he throws. And it's well over the intended target, Groeneweg's head. Oruwariye had the coverage.
Okay with this play call in this situation. Get in that red zone fringe, and you want to take a shot to the end zone to kind of seal this drive. I'm just not sure I would be targeting Groeneweg. Might take a shot with the tight ends.
Kevin Gibbons got the stick on Stanley there. 2nd and 10. Pressure from the side. Trying to hit Sargent out of the backfield. It was too low from Stanley.
Really nice job by Brent Pry and this defense for Penn State, knowing that it's a passing situation. They bring pressure off the edge, which forces Stanley to throw this ball early. You see Cole Farmer, but watch Oruwariye. He knows he's got his eyes back to the quarterback in zone, and Todd comes up and makes the play.
Yeah, you have to wonder, too, with Stanley, with all that tape on his hand, how wet is it getting with some of the hits he's taking going to the ground?
That's a great point. 11th play of the drive. That started from their own 21-yard line.
This is the time where Shaka Toney wreaked havoc a week ago against Indiana in 3rd and long.
Good protection for Stanley. Throws, has all sorts of time, and able to connect. It's Brandon Smith. Has the first down inside the 5.
And you mentioned it, Steve. This is all about protection. Great job. Alaric Jackson's been up and down in this game so far. Keegan Bender has been up and down, but they give Nate Stanley time, and his thumb looked okay there, Todd.
That was 14 yards on that play. First down and goal. Hey, what a ball game.
Unbelievable. You know, Iowa doesn't really have a downhill pounded kind of back. You know, they've got 3 guys that are kind of scat back, but Torrin Young at 220 is their biggest guy. He's in there now.
That's Fant in the slot. Fant wasn't ready. Fant didn't see him going to snap the ball, and it's picked off. Nick Scott with the interception. Noah Fant was not ready. He was still on the line of scrimmage long after Iowa had snapped the football. And Stanley tried to go to him.
Nate Stanley tried to change the play, Steve. He's at the line of scrimmage trying to change the play. It got loud down here by the student section. You could see the Iowa coaching staff on the field wondering what was going on. He's trying to change the play. And they're trying to snap it before the play clock got to 0-2. That's why he was in such a hurry. But you got to manage that situation better and not be risky with the football.
And, Brian, I'm standing probably 20 yards from where he was, and I'm watching Stanley's eyes, and he realizes he started yelling, kill, kill, kill. He looked up at the clock and saw we only had about 2 seconds left, and then that just rushed everything.
Your timeouts are always in your back pocket, too. If you don't have enough time and you're confused, just call a timeout. Huge swing in the game.
And you wonder what implications a single play at the end of October can have on the national picture.
Wow.
3:13 to go. Penn State still up 6. Now they have the ball. See how they manage the clock. Back to that Nick Scott interception. What led up to that?
Well, certainly you see this is Nate Stanley. He's trying to kill the play, but look at the play clock. He didn't have enough time to do that, so the play was doomed from the very beginning. As a quarterback, if you're going to change something, you got to have enough time at the line of scrimmage to do so. Everybody was on different pages, and it led to the big interception.
And you could see on the top part of the screen, Fant is trying to signal to the other receiver they're trying to kill the play. Didn't think he could hear the quarterback Stanley with this loud crowd, so he wasn't paying attention as well. He's looking the other direction. What a stunning turn of events working against Iowa as Penn State has the football. We'll see how they manage the clock as they come out throwing with 3:05 left. Nate Stanley is 16 of 40 for 183 yards, no scores, and 2 touchdowns.
Well, and right here, if you're Trace McSorley, an opportunity to ice this football game. Iowa's got 2 timeouts, ticked under 3 minutes here. You get another first down here, you might be able to end this football game. Wait, what a second half it's been for Trace McSorley.
On the ground, it's McSorley running between the tackles. And Iowa will spend another timeout.
That's going to be one sore puppy tomorrow.
Wondered how Penn State would manage this game up by 6 with 2:26 to go. Last week, a lot of talk about the play calling down the stretch. Had a 12-point lead, 4.5 to play in the fourth. And Penn State went 3 and out, and it was how they went 3 and out. 3 straight passes. You got to get the play on first down, so they couldn't.
Yeah.
On second down, it's a completed pass.
It's just like a running play, and then Indiana takes a timeout.
Indiana spends one there, and then on third down, you have to pass. It's 3rd and 10.
Well, you don't have to. No, you don't.
All right.
You don't have to. It's all what you think. You know, is the time more valuable? In that situation, I think you should have run the football and taken time off the clock. But, you know, we talked with Ricky Ronnie about it, and he said, listen, I wanted to be aggressive in that situation, and I understand that. And but now I think in this situation, you know, with 2.5 left, they're making a little bit of a different approach here and running the football with Trace McSorley to make sure that you're taking time or timeouts off the clock.
Last week, that took just 19 seconds off the clock. Again, it's McSorley between the tackles. Sam Brinks made the stop. Another timeout. Indiana would go on to score to make it a 5-point game and able to score on the, well, not score, but able to get the onside kick. And so then it became a thing. Here's Adnan with more things.
I always got things here for you, Leaves, including USC's 19-game home winning streak is snapped. Manny Wilkins here, 45 yards, the longest run of his career, and Herm Edwards now squares his record of 4-4 as Arizona State beats the Trojans 38-35. And coming up next, Kellen Mond and Texas A&M getting set for Mississippi State SEC clash. It'll start on ESPN News and then come over here. Steve, Brees, back to you guys.
Adnan, thank you. 2:21 left. Penn State up 30-24. Iowa has yet to beat a ranked team all season. Team we said, based on Wisconsin's loss today, they control their own destiny coming in.
Yeah, and they do in the Big Ten West. But if they don't get a stop here on 3rd and 3, this ball game's over.
Out of timeouts. It's McSorley again. 3rd straight run. Matt Nelson wraps him up for a loss. So the clock will wind, but Iowa will get the football back.
They're going to get the football back with about 1.5 minutes left. We'll see what Blake Gilligan's able to do here from a punting standpoint, but you'd have to think that Nate Stanley thankful to get another opportunity after that key interception on the goal line. Not to mention that Noah Fant got going on that drive and is in this football game.
3 consecutive plays going to Fant. Again, it's been a tough afternoon for Gilligan. Coach Franklin said he's been in a slump recently. Had a punt block off a bad snap. That led to the opening safety. Then a bad snap was sailed over his head for another safety.
Penn State is the first charge. 30 seconds.
More mayhem around college football, and it really kicks up on Tuesday on ESPN with the College Football Top 25 presented by Allstate, and these are selections. And it's important to note, these are what we believe as of this day, of this moment, not how it will be at the end of the season.
How could Todd have Oklahoma at number 5 there? They lost to Texas.
Yeah, I get it.
Oh, Todd.
I look at it this way. Which are the teams that you would be most scared of playing? And I just think with the offense that they have with Lincoln Riley and Kyler Murray, I just wouldn't want to face Oklahoma.
I'd love to face their defense.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I wouldn't like to face Georgia right now. I mean, Georgia's salty after that 20-point loss to LSU. I think they're better than that game, and I think they'll rebound, which they did against Florida today.
You notice you shifted them in a little late.
Grodeway backpedaling from his 15. Trying to turn the corner. They'll run out of some people. And Iowa will start at the 23-yard line. It goes a 49-yard punt, so a good punt there by Gilligan.
These are the 2 turnovers that allowed Iowa in the 4th quarter here. The fumble and then the interception. But now Iowa needs to recoup after that last play down the goal line. You anticipate they run it in that situation. They tried to throw a little screen to Torrey Young. It backfired, and now this crowd is going to make it hard on Nate Stanley.
Penn State turning it over 2 times in a 3-snap span. 77 yards in front of Iowa for what would be a thrilling win. And the grab by Brandon Smith and an excellent tackle to make sure that Smith couldn't get out of there.
Well, Castro Fields, the corner, took some risks there. He didn't get him on the ground. There's a lot of green grass beyond him.
Maybe 77 yards. Here's Stanley to throw in the wind. Just too strong for Smith off his fingertips. Castro Fields again up on the coverage. The wind really starting to whip up here.
Yeah, you got to put a little more air on that ball. That was a great route by Smith. Castro Fields was beat. And if you give him a little bit more air, a little bit more room, he might still be running. I'd keep going at Castro Fields. He's clearly intent on taking some risks here with the game on the line. Oh, he's up around the line of scrimmage.
This is also Gross Matos time. 65 ticks left. Stanley has time. Throws underneath. Incomplete to Smith-Marset. Castro Fields, excellent coverage there. It only takes a couple of seconds off the clock.
You say you got to get the first down, but you also got to push this ball to the outside of the field because no timeouts really restricts where you can throw the ball on the field.
3rd down and 10 upcoming.
And here's Fant in the slot.
And Nate Stanley finish off what's been an awful night. Can he pull it out? Stanley able to complete, and it is Noah Fant. What a throw, what a grab.
I think they got to get up to the line of scrimmage because Fant came down inbounds. It was a great throw and catch, but time is of the essence here. Snap this ball before they wind the clock again for the first down.
Now they start it. Penn State rushing 4. All sorts of time. Now Stanley steps into one and throws, and it goes incomplete. 39 ticks left. Iowa cannot stop the clock. While we wrap up here, Texas A&M and Mississippi State about to get started in the SEC. That game will start over on ESPN News, and as soon as we're finished here, we'll bring it back over to ESPN for you. On their own 45. Stanley throws, and it is caught. A catch. It's T.J. Hawkinson with a jersey and pants full of mud.
Wow.
It's a gain of 18. Grease, he was so far into the bench, there's no way the officials could know if he hung on to that football.
Wow, the ball.
The ruling on the field of a catch is under further review.
He had that ball. He definitely controlled the ball. The ball definitely hit the ground, which it can as long as you control the ball.
That ball moves.
This is a great angle of the toes inbounds. The other angle, I feel, will give them enough evidence to make the determination of a catch, no catch. But what an unbelievable effort from Hawkinson. I mean, that is an unbelievable catch.
Athletic play. Now, this is not about the feet. This is about the control of the football. That is a tough, tough call. And again, what's critical here is the call on the field is a catch.
Yep. Yeah, just my opinion here. Felt like he didn't have control of it with the first grab. When he re-established his hands on the ball, it felt like he controlled the ball. And then by definition, when he went down and the ball hit the ground, as long as that ball isn't, or the ground isn't helping him make the catch, it's a good catch. I think this call stands.
What an effort, too. I mean, he had one hand under the ball, and then his other hand, his right hand was on top of the ball, and then to be able to shift it as you're sliding into the bench to make sure that you have control. Amazing play.
Todd, he came out from the bench, and he had, it looked like somebody had poured mud down the front of his jersey. I mean, he must have got back there by the Gatorade jugs and got mud all over him.
Let me ask you, so when his foot taps down, though, yeah, he went to a slip and slide with his pals. When his foot touches down, the foot, he does not have complete control. So he regains control as he's flying out of bounds after the fact. This will be interesting. This might be your ball game, too.
After review, the receiver did not have control. Therefore, the catch is reversed. It will be 3rd and 10 At the minus 45-yard line, the clock is good.
That's a tough call. I personally thought that was a catch. There's enough evidence there to control the football and the ground not helping him make that catch. The ball can't touch the ground. That's a tough call.
Especially when the call on the field is a catch.
Yeah.
Brought all the way back to the Iowa 45. As you heard, the clock is good. Not so good for Iowa. 34 seconds left. 2 cracks at it. 3rd and 10. Penn State rushing 4. Stanley will run out of it. We haven't seen much of this today. He's got the first down. They'll stop the clock to move the chains. It's a gain of 11. He's at the 44. Field goal doesn't do him any good. Got to have 6. And then maybe 7. Here's Stanley off the low snap. And Fant can't hang on to that. They'll take the incompletion with 17 seconds left.
Yeah, that's big getting that first down, because if he doesn't get that first down, now you're under 10 seconds trying to run a play, and the game may have been over. But now, you know, we haven't mentioned Sharif Miller or Shaka Toney for Penn State defensively on this drive. Everybody knows they're throwing the ball. This offensive line has stepped up for Iowa, at least giving them a chance to push the ball down the field.
17 seconds left on the 44 of Penn State. They're getting louder. 5 seconds to snap it. Here's Stanley. Across the middle. Broken up. Knocked down by John Reed, who's played a whale of a game for the Nittany Lions. 13 seconds remaining.
You got to know the situation here. You got to get the ball to about the 35-yard line to at least give yourself a chance to push it to the end zone on the next play. You really only have time for 2 plays if the first play is a short one. They may decide to just throw it twice to the end zone.
And Noah Fant is on the sideline watching, just like you and I are. Stanley throws, and it is juggled. Nick Easley could not come up with it. 7 seconds left.
Nick Easley comes up a little shaken up. Well, this is it. Comes down to this for Iowa. Came into this game controlling their own destiny in the Big Ten West when Northwestern beat Wisconsin. Potential playoff hopes still on the line, and it all comes down to this play.
Penn State has dropped 5 players back deep. They're going to rush 4. Could be the final play of the game. Stanley's going to be dropped by Sharif Miller, and then able to shovel it off to Tristan Wirfs. The big fella will be stopped at the 28. You were waiting for Sharif Miller to make a big play. Able to pressure Stanley, and that will do it.
I'm surprised that we didn't see a targeting there. You see for Penn State. Cam Brown comes in late and basically with his helmet, the helmet contact, and then he fell down to the ground. You see he's still stumbling around. Really surprised that we didn't see a targeting on that play.
Well, and that would have been significant, Todd, because it wouldn't have, the game would not have ended on a defensive penalty. Iowa would have had one more play. Let's take a look here. Obviously, you see the rush by Sharif Miller, just trying to make a play. If you're Nate Stanley, and Wirfs is on the run. Now, Cam is number 6 coming in late here. Hard to tell from that angle. There he is, number 6, coming in. I think that's a good no call, Todd. I see what you saw, but he really never made contact. I think that's a good no call. It would be a shame to give Iowa one more play on a call like that.
What a football game today. Iowa won't be pleased the way it turned out.